This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Reconnected. Awesome to see everybody on this, I'd say, wonderful, lovely, something like that Thursday, but it hasn't been, so hello. Good to see everybody. Zach is muting and unmuting and muting again, and hello.
There's like a weird connection. I'm here, though. As long as I don't move too much, we should be fine.
How's everything been on your side of the country?
I mean, we got some random weather of the East Coast way of it was 60 degrees and then it iced over the next day. We did that for about 3 days. Then it went to 60 again, and then we got snow yesterday. So normal January, February weather.
It is currently 7 degrees, which is the warmest I've seen it all day. It was -3 for a long time today.
Yeah, we see you guys like get the real cold. We just get like the bipolar temperature where you can't decide until about summer when it's going to be about 90.
Yeah, it's been rough. We've had so many days canceled for our kids going to school that they are extending their school year by I think we're on like 11 or 12 days now. It's been crazy.
So when do they go into school? Do they start in like August or September?
They start, I believe, the very last like Thursday in August. So it's pretty late, and they're supposed to be out like a week before the end of May, something like that.
So now they're looking at maybe they'll get out before June if they're lucky.
Maybe, yeah. I think they have to get approved to go. I think they're supposed to have 180 days, and they're trying to get it down to 100. Anyways, long story. Weird Midwest thing. Like, they should have gone to school. Come on. There's no reason they couldn't have gone the last 2 days.
Yeah, I grew up in a county where I lucked out a lot. We had like 7 kids that went to an elementary school up in the mountains, or at least went to the high school from the mountains. And if it snowed up there, which was really common, they would have to cancel schools, and it would be like 45 degrees outside. It would be a nice sunny day, and they say, schools are closed today. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Just hanging out.
Yeah.
God dang, everybody's living life. 70 in California, almost 80 in Sydney. New York City goes to school till the end of June.
I appreciate them putting that in freedom units, so I didn't have to like do the math in my head.
Yeah. That was nice. Thanks, Tony. So what's been going on with They Live by Film? Let's jump down that route first. I know a lot of people have always been a fan of your show. And for those that are new, what's been going on?
So we actually just did an episode where we did car movies. So we did Jack Hill's Pit Stop, Fast Company by Cronenberg, which I noted in the episode of 4 years of doing the show. We finally got to a Cronenberg, and it's the one no one's heard of. So I know there's at least 2 people that are disappointed that it was not literally anything else. And
right.
Then what was the other one we watched? Oh, Death Race 2000, which was fantastic. Yeah. And next time, for next month, we'll be talking about 3 versions of Nosferatu. So,
ooh,
yeah, going all in on that. Chris is going to see every Eggers movie thanks to this podcast, and he'd never seen one before. So
nice, very nice. That's an undertaking for that show to be able to watch everything Eggers, especially because for some people it's been all hits, and for others it's been half hits and half little shiny mainstream.
Yeah, and the joke really was, I was like, we're going to keep more Eggers movies than Cronenberg movies at this point, because like I was just amazed we hadn't got to one. I was just sitting there, I was like, we really haven't done The Fly or Eastern Promises or literally anything else. Like, it's just never came up.
That's wild for some of them. You'd think that you just like accidentally stumble onto Videodrome or something.
No, it's just going to be Fast Company, some movie he just made because he needed some money.
Yeah. Fast Company is a fascinating outlier in Cronenberg's catalog, says Stan.
Now, one thing I will give Cronenberg some credit on, though, is even though this was definitely like a for-hire job, you can tell he was a race fan, and I really appreciated that. Like, the dude definitely likes racing and is a bit of a gearhead. And,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think we get that quite as much, where you have directors who are for hire for a project. They just kind of like, I guess I'm so used to the Disney market of these guys being like, Barry Jenkins is like, yeah, I'm going to go do Mufasa just so I can make some money. And here it is. And, there's almost like a weird blue collar streak with a lot of like 70s and 80s guys where it's like, okay, I got to do this for some money, but I am going to try. Like, I'm going to put some effort into this at least.
And then, of course, famously, Fast Company lit a fire, and then he got real into cars, and then we got Crash.
Yeah. Well, there's a part where he like pours motor oil on this naked girl's like chest, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're getting some early stuff here. Cool, awesome. But that kind of brings up with Eggers, with him doing Labyrinth. I was like, I'm very fascinated to see how that goes.
Yeah, if it actually comes to fruition, I'm not going to say I'm against it, but I definitely want to see what he can do, because man, that could be a fascinating tie-in. Yeah.
The only thing that like gives me like some optimism is he seems to be bringing his normal crew in. Like, I think he's got that poet who's been writing with him the last few movies, and then just like the normal, I think his same cinematographer's coming in. So I'm like, okay. So it might still look like an Eggers movie. I don't know what Sony's thinking, but sure.
I can't wait to see. Other than Carsploitation, we're going to be talking about a bunch of movies tonight. After the announcements, we're going to discuss the filmography of one Larry Fessenden. And of course, I just realized I left my complete set of discs upstairs by the player like an idiot.
I would say I have it, but I do not own that set. How is that set? I've looked at it's been in my cart like so many times, and I've never pulled the trigger on it.
It's surprisingly good. The fact that every disc has like a decent amount of extras, and if you were lucky enough to get in from the very beginning, and not like it's rare to have this, but I'm pretty happy that mine's autographed by Fessenden.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's real. It's a nice piece in the collection.
Was it something you had to order early to get that, or does it?
Yeah, it was like the first 250 ordered or something like that. Back when they did that quite often, they did that for Eli Roth. I can't. The Green
Inferno.
Green Inferno. That's the word. I wanted to say Green Hornet. I was like, that's definitely not it.
the fake Cannibal Holocaust movie. Yeah, that one.
Yes. So yeah, they did it for that. They did it for Eli Roth, and then there was a couple others where there was a couple interesting pieces where if you were one of the first big groups to get it, then you would get like a little piece of a film reel or an autograph card or something like that. Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I might have to finally order it because I don't know. I need to stop. There's like these like 10 movies I keep putting in a cart during a sale, and they're just there as almost like comfort.
Right.
And then I could be pissed in like 4 years when I'm like, fuck, I should have ordered that.
Yep. Yeah, so we're going to talk a lot about Fessenden tonight. But other than Fessenden, what else have you been watching lately? Because you watch a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm at 105 for the year, so just a small number. I know if John Peters is in the chat, I know he's beating me. I'd love to know what his number is.
Or Spaghetti gets
either one. Yeah, Spaghetti, tell me yours. I know you're ahead of me somewhere. But this week I mainly have been watching a lot of Stephen King because I'm going to go see The Monkey tomorrow, which I'm very, very excited for. Such a weird way, weird direction for Perkins to go, but that kind of excites me for him to kind of go to something more comedic. 121, okay.
It's not bad.
I'm staying like sort of there.
Silent Mandible says I'm at like 3.
But as far as the ones I've watched, I watched Carrie again. I haven't seen it in years, but that's a phenomenal movie. It's funny because me and you did a Stephen King show, God, a year ago, I guess now, somewhere around there. That whole ranking would be completely different now. Like, I think back on it and I'm like, wow. Yeah, because I rewatched Garris's The Stand. I still haven't seen the 2020 version. I've heard like nothing good about it. So I just
same.
Yeah, like I mean, like with Garris's, I mean, there's like corny elements to it. It's definitely a TV product, but it's surprisingly got like a lot of really good stuff going for it. I really enjoyed. Like 6 hours kind of flew by. That's impressive to say for as long as it is. What else did I watch? I'm trying to think of some more. I'd have to look at my letterbox, but yeah, mostly just Stephen King stuff in prep, and that's kind of been where I've been at. Besides catching up on some of the stuff we'll be talking about later. What about you?
Other than Fessenden, which has been the bulk of my last 10 days or so, we showed the kids a couple of the like weirdo 1993 to 1997 movies that were just, how did these get made type of movies? So we showed them Blank Check. And my kid, of course, loved the idea of this kid having freedom to buy whatever he want and live in his own house and do whatever he wanted. So he loved it. And then we watched Richie Rich, and he didn't love that one as much. But Macaulay Culkin playing baseball was fun to watch. So nice to catch up with both of those. Also checked out the brand new Dogman movie with my kids, which, holy hell, is this movie like crafted for ADHD YouTube viewing minds in a way. It's so frenetic, and it's done in this style that everything is constantly moving. It is just this like shotgun blast of animation that is hard to explain until you see it. And I'm not saying it's bad necessarily, but good God, is it shaping kids to like really only have to pay attention for a few minutes.
The only like thing I've seen about Dogman was I saw it for the trailer package of Conclave when I went to Regal. And I never knew what it was until then. And then when I was on the AMC popcorn buckets, I saw that they are selling a dog bowl for a popcorn bucket. I was like, I feel like Baby Girl should have done that. Like they really screwed up there.
That's pretty funny.
And I did see Aaron West's comment about Flanagan to direct another King film. He does have one coming out this year. Life of Chuck.
Yep,
is coming out some point this year, and then he's got 100 other things like Carrie and this Dark Tower.
Yep,
and so
he's living a busy life. He's got that podcast he's doing. It's crazy.
Yeah. He stays about as busy as you do here lately, right?
I guess. Speaking of that front, what have you been picking up lately, physical media wise?
Ooh, let's see. I actually remembered. This is like the first time, as me years I've been doing this. The first time I actually remembered to bring him in here. Because I was thinking about like 10 minutes before I came out, like, he's going to ask me. Let's see. So I recently got Furiosa Steelbook. I ordered it.
Nice.
I don't remember which country this is from. Italy, maybe? Can't remember. Titan Steelbook.
Oh,
yeah. I found that one. I think that's on Amazon Germany. No, it's on Amazon US. It just comes from Germany. That's right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I didn't have to import that one. Finally got Pandora's Box, first Criterion I bought away from a sale, and God knows how long.
Wow.
Yeah. Usually I just wait till November. And then I got James Bond, so maybe I can actually watch a James Bond movie. Perfect time now that Amazon owns it.
I was about to say we should probably bring up that's the biggest like movie news of the week, that the last I think it's the last remaining family-owned cinematic franchise has officially been sold. James Bond is now owned fully by Amazon.
I really told somebody earlier, my dream is for the first thing for them to do is hire an American to be Bond, because I want to see the outrage. I want to see it so bad. It's going to be so fun. Like, get Donald Glover to do it. I'm sold. It's going to make so many people mad for so many different reasons.
Yeah, it likely is the end of James Bond, at least as we know it. But it's kind of crazy, especially after, everybody was kind of talking crap and or I think, was it like 4 or 5 months ago, they were basically saying how they would not sell it, and now here they are completely cashed out.
It's funny when the richest man in the world offers you money. Really change your tune pretty quickly.
That is true.
Or second, I don't know where Bezos is at now, but it's top 3. Beyond that, let's see. I got Zodiac. That's one that's been on the list to get forever. Decision to Leave, which maybe I'll finally watch. I thought about doing it for the show, just so Chris has to watch another version of Vertigo. I thought about doing that, and we could watch Obsession by De Palma. I was like, we'll just do Vertigo twice. Let's see. And then this is it. Monkey Man 4K.
Very nice.
Strange Darling 4K, which I wish I'd gotten early. This thing's beautiful. Like, the picture quality on it's fantastic. And the only 2 things I got from the Vinegar Syndrome sale for the new year was Devil Story, which I love, and then
amazing.
Perfect Strangers. And I don't know, it's a Larry Cohen movie I haven't seen, so
yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, I heard it's like a Lifetime movie by Larry Cohen. I'm like, that sells me more than anything.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it for sure. I don't have a whole lot this week. I think there is stuff in my mailbox, but I can't get out to get it because it's just way too cold.
The door mailbox installed, man.
God, I wish they don't do that. These all came, I think, last Friday or Saturday. So I got my newest oscilloscope subtitle. Ooh, Wildcat. This is a Ethan Hawke directed movie.
I saw that like on Letterboxd. I don't know how I got into this rabbit hole with that, but yeah, I was very interested when I learned he directed it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty great. I think, if I'm remembering right, Maya Hawke is in it as well.
Shocker.
Yeah, and Steve Zahn, Laura Linney, decent sounding cast. Got my newest pickup from Visual Vengeance, Furious. It's supposed to be great. Very, very curious to check this out. And then last, Arrow titles right now are like flying off the shelves. Some stuff going out of print very quickly. Not sure if this is quite there yet, but from what I hear, people may want to jump on this if you want it soon. Again, not inducing FOMO, but if this is like one of your favorite movies and you wanted the full limited edition, Life Force by Tobe Hooper 4K from Arrow is supposedly almost gone already, and cannot wait to watch this one in 4K.
Did Scream do that one as 4K, or they only have a Blu-ray?
They did the 4K, but this is one of those times where they only did the theatrical, and Arrow got the director's cut and the theatrical cut in 4K.
God, I hate when they do that. It's still my least favorite thing about having the Doctor Strange 4K. I'm like, this is worthless to me. I should have just bought the Blu-ray. Like, having the 4K does nothing for me.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's tough out there for some of these. So this week, obviously, the big thing was the award show. Hope everybody enjoyed that. If there's any questions, let me know. I put up a couple summary posts. We're going to fly through those later tonight. But
why didn't The Hitcher win more awards? I think that's what everyone's going to ask.
At least one person did in the comment section on YouTube. Good Lord. Yeah, it's been an odd week with some of the response to it. I hope people enjoyed it. I still can't believe that we pulled off some of the things that we pulled off for this. Having four segments with major individuals that are some of my favorite filmmakers today was great. I mean, I know you and I both really enjoyed Last Stop in Yuma County last year, and having Fran be a part of it was great. Sean is likely going to be winning at least one Oscar in some way over the next couple months, so that's incredible. Is
he going to win it over Amelia Perez?
I don't want to say much, but I would hope so. I'm really hoping he wins at least editing. I don't know if he'll win Best Picture. Honestly, I think he has more of a chance now than he did a couple months ago. But
it won BAFTA, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
And he also just won PGA and DGA for directing, and screenplay, which is crazy.
Yeah, only like, what is it, like something like only like 11 movies in history of won like most of those and didn't win Best Picture. It's like very few. Clint Eastwood's good at that. Like I think it might have been Aaron West, who's, if he's still watching, I think he showed a list to me one time and I was like, yeah, it's just Clint like 2 or 3 times.
Silent Mandible says, is Hitcher as good as the remake with Sean Bean? Honestly, this is one of those situations where the remake is very, very good. The remake is great. The original, I would maybe put it just a touch better, but they're both honestly incredible. And honestly, give us a competing release with this thing. I would love to see the remake in some great release.
Yeah, I feel, is that one that, like, I feel like a lot of those 2000 horror movies are out of print now, and I feel like that might be one of them.
I don't even know that it ever had a blue to begin with. I think it had a DVD.
May not have, yeah. Because I get it mixed up with the 2 Rest Stop movies.
Yeah.
Which I have not seen since I own them, and I still haven't seen them in like 20 years.
Right.
Which is probably when they came out.
That's great. All right. That is most of what I got. Any other topics you wanted to bring up from this week that have come out?
Nothing comes.
I know I pay attention to modern horror a lot. You see The Monkey tomorrow. Funny enough, I get to see it tomorrow too, which is rare. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got that. I bought an overly priced popcorn bucket today for it. So, that's always a good thing. Beyond that, February and January are kind of your months where they just dump a bunch of stuff anyway. So I haven't seen Wolfman yet. Companion was decent.
It kind of feels like they're leaning away from that to me. I don't know if that's just me, but especially February, I feel like we're getting better movies there.
Yeah, I think they're finding there is at least like some market there. I think Megan started a lot of that with how big it was in January, and now it's getting like a July release or something for the second one. Well,
and I feel like they're realizing if everybody thinks it's a dumping ground and your movie's actually good, release it in the second week of January, and you can stay and make money the entire month. That's a big deal.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I'm trying to see. I wish I wasn't blanking out so bad. I was like, I know I've seen things this year.
Well, there was Hard Eyes, Companion.
Hard Eyes was good. I really liked Hard Eyes.
We're hoping to see that on Saturday. Finally, I've been wanting to see that since day one. But,
yeah, I really like what Sony's doing. Like they've done these 2 holiday slasher movies. I'm like, honestly, get rid of like the superhero stuff, man. Just do the slashers.
Yeah, lean into it.
Pretty good at them.
Then they're perennial watches. You make money every year from people renting them and streaming them. Why would you not do that?
Yeah, and you're getting. I have mixed feelings about Eli Roth, but I still think Thanksgiving might be like one of the best things he's ever done. Like, I just really like Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
And then Josh Rubin. I think he's a good director.
Yeah,
you just get good directors who like slasher movies to make slasher movies. It's not a hard concept.
That is true. We just talked about that. If somebody's passionate about something, it'll be better, even if they're like a work for hire director at that moment.
Yeah, it's what we did in the 80s, right? Like, here is a random holiday, do a President's Day movie.
How long ago was that? I think it was like a year and a half ago. I did a live stream where I was trying to capture as many holiday horror movies as I could, and I still have that list, and it's still not. I still don't think it's exhaustive. I know I'm missing a bunch.
Yeah, there is some SOV movie about Arbor Day you have not found.
Oh, there is.
Oh, of course there is. I was guessing, but yeah.
Nope. I have seen the poster and have talked about it for sure. In fact, I think it is called Arbor Day.
Wonderful.
Of course. All right. Let's get into our announcements because shockingly busy week, which did not bode well for me because, man, as soon as the award show was done, I was like, I can't do anything for like 3 days. All right. We started off with a box set of Stir of Echoes getting announced by Imprint. This is to match the 4K that got announced in the US. They had released this previously, so in a way, they're kind of just upgrading their previous release. This will be a hard box release with the 4K and the Blu-ray. And they do, fortunately, have some new extras in here. So even if you had that older one, you may still want to take a look at this. It's also got those archival extras still. Good looking release if you're into Stir of Echoes. And I mean, it's Kevin Bacon. It's a good movie. I like this one.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. It used to show up on Netflix all the time. I still think it's in their like random rotation between, if it's not there, it's on Tubi. But yeah, I like Stir of Echoes. I like Kevin Bacon, so.
Yeah, he's pretty great. Arrow is doing their Love It First Fright sale. You can check this out, and everything ended on Monday, so it doesn't matter. Hey, Scream Factory sale. This was going. This one is their Love is in the Scare sale. This one ends on February 24th. Still going. They're giving a free movie if you spend $100. They are also doing, if you spend $50, you get a 1 month free trial of Shout TV. Handful of incentives like that are decent, but it's Scream Factory, so the prices are not incredible.
5% off.
Let's be generous. 7.
Well, you know, a good sale to get your theatrical 4K of
Life Force. Criterion had another pretty huge month this month. Back-to-back months with 7 titles, I believe. May 6th is our first one. This is In the Heat of the Night 4K. Of course, this is one of the kinos that just went out of print recently. Those are all going to be coming to Criterion. Those ones that used to be on Criterion then went to Kino. I believe they were all MGM titles, so just plan on probably every month we'll get at least one. Pretty much going to always be the exact same release, just upgraded to 4K. Yeah, In the Heat of the Night. Incredible movie, obviously.
I have not seen it. I think none of these Criterion movies I have seen, so that's not true. I don't think I've seen any of them.
I've not seen most of them. This next one, May 6th, we are getting a 4K of The Umbrellas of Cherbourg from 1964. I probably said that wrong. This is a Jacques Demy film with Catherine Deneuve. This is going to have a 4K disc and a Blu-ray disc. There's the Umbrellas of Cherbourg 2008 doc coming in here. Interview with Rodney Hill. Essay by Jim Ridley, some archival extras. I really like the art on this one, though. I definitely wanted to point that out.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful cover. It really is. I assume the movie is. I think I've seen stills from it, so it's very fitting.
Yep, extremely. Then May 13th, a Blu-ray coming out on The Wind Will Carry Us from 1999. This is the Kiarostami title. The Wind Will Carry Us. A lot of people have wanted this one for quite some time. This one is a 4K restoration, and it's going to have A Week with Kiarostami from 99, a documentary that they made on the making of the film, an interview from 2002 with the director, new visual essay presenting the director's poetry, narrated by Masume Laji, a longtime translator and creative collaborator of the directors. And then we got an essay by poet novelist Kaveh Akbar. Once again, not seen this, but I've heard this is remarkable.
I have not heard of it. This is going to be like Criterion. I need this to be October releases, so I know what they are.
That makes sense. I do know this one. How to Get Ahead in Advertising from 1989, getting a Blu-ray release on May 20th, not a 4K. This was gifted basically as a bonus movie from Arrow when they announced their release of With Nail and I, and so Criterion is saying, nope, you got to buy it separately. This is a great one. 2K digital restoration on this one. New doc with interviews with the writer-director Bruce Robinson and Richard E. Grant, and an essay by David Cairns. And then, of course, With Nail and I, getting a 4K and Blu-ray release on May 20th for the U.S. Obviously, this poster is incredible. Ralph Steadman's an amazing artist.
Did he do Leaving Las Vegas? Or am I just crazy for seeing the connection?
It's not Leaving Las Vegas, but the title that you're thinking of, yes.
Okay. Not Leaving Las Vegas. Oh my God.
I'm going to let you get there.
I'm going to get there. Somebody spoil it in the comments because now I'm going to look dumb. Love and Loathing in Las Vegas. There we go.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
There we go. I got it close enough. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yes, he did do the cover for that one as well. The poster of the year.
Okay. When I saw that, I was like, is it connected at all, or just the same artist?
Just the same artist, who's incredible. So this one, 4K. We got 2 audio commentaries. They are from 2020 and 2001. I believe the 2021 is one that Arrow had been putting together. New short program with Robinson and Richard E. Grant. Documentary from 1999. A lot of the same stuff that we'd gotten earlier. Essentially, the Arrow release of this is much, much better. But if you've never seen these, you probably should check out both of them.
Bruce Robinson. Okay, let me add them before I forget.
These are really, really great. Then they are also putting out on May 27th a 4K and a Blu-ray release for a double feature of the Three Musketeers and the Four Musketeers from 1973 and 1974. These are the incredibly casted Musketeer films from the UK by Richard Lester. These were previously released on 4K by Studio Canal. And these are going to have a new documentary by critic David Cairns, Saga of the Musketeers from 2002, a 2-part documentary, Making of the Three Musketeers from 73, and then an essay by Stephanie Zacharek. These are... I remember seeing them a long, long time ago when I watched all of the Musketeer movies that I could. Loved them then. Have not seen them in ages and barely remember them. But the cast in these are wild. Oliver Reed, Raquel Welch, Michael York, Frank Finley, Richard Chamberlain, Christopher Lee, Geraldine Chaplin, Faye Dunaway, Charlton Heston. Like the number of names are crazy in these. Yes.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
So I have not seen that one for sure. I was sitting there looking at the cast. I was rereading them back, but yeah, I've not seen that.
It's crazy. Then on May 27th, we get a 4K and a Blu-ray release of Killer of Sheep from 1978 by Charles Burnett. This one, for those that have not heard about it, a quiet revelation of American independent filmmaking, Charles Burnett's lyrical debut feature unfolds as a mosaic of black life in the Watts neighborhood of L.A., where Stan, a father worn down by his job in a slaughterhouse, and his wife seek moments of tenderness in the face of myriad disappointments. Equally attuned to the world of children and that of adults, Burnett, acting as director, writer, producer, cinematographer, and editor, finds poetry amid everyday struggles in indelible images that glow with compassionate beauty. Largely unseen for decades following its completion in 1977, Killer of Sheep is now recognized as a touchstone of the groundbreaking LA Rebellion movement and a masterpiece that brought Black American lives to the screen with an aching intimacy like no film before. This was restored by UCLA Film and Television Archive, Milestone Films, and the Criterion Collection, all working together. We got an audio commentary with Burnett and Richard Pena, new interviews with Burnett and Henry Gale Sanders, new appreciation by Barry Jenkins in here, 2 shorts by Burnett, a documentary from 2019 by Burnett, cast reunion from 2007, and then an essay by Danielle Amir Jackson, which to me, this screams like the release of the month if you are all in on extras.
Yeah, I mean, that's a ton for a movie that I've definitely not heard of. and it feels like a smaller release.
Yeah, this is one that is going to be day one for me. I normally don't, just like you said, don't get Criterions outside of sale times. But other than the Baker titles that were announced last month, this is immediately on my list to definitely have to pre-order and get as soon as possible.
When do they do Flash? I know they do Flash in February, and do they do it again in May or June?
No, they do their Flash in October, I think.
October.
Aaron in the chat, if you want to confirm that, I believe it's October. Jim says the Studio Canal Musketeer films unfortunately didn't have good color grades, too yellow and green. The Criterions will likely be identical. Yeah, almost guaranteed. Yes, there will be a flash sale in March because they would have hinted at it already if it was going to be in February, probably. So yeah, we'll have one in March, and then we'll likely have one in, I believe, October.
Okay. And then the two barn sales in between.
Yep. Then we got some Melusine titles that went up for sale last week. The Quality X line gets Blonde Goddess from 1982, and here is the slipcover. Very tastefully censored there.
Good job.
This is directed by Bill Milling. Has a new restoration in 4K from the OCN. It's got a trailer on there, a teaser, an image gallery, but that is it. Yeah.
Cool cover. I'm not going to buy it, but cool cover.
Yeah, the Quality X line has been good, really great sometimes, and then some are just not really my bag. Not sure about this one. Then we got from the Picorama line a triple feature of the Vixens of Kung Fu, Sunny, and the Nightbird, with 6 different tasteful censorships on that one. This one, I believe, if I'm remembering right, no extras because we've got 3 different films on this one.
Yeah, I guess if the two, you can just count like the two of the films as extras.
Essentially.
Just pick your favorite and say the other 2 came extra.
Then they started releasing some merch for their Valentine's sale as well. They had this Sex World shirt, which is pretty nice. Again, I'm
assuming the black circle is on the shirt when you get it.
It is, but you have to pay extra for the circle. So.
Okay. Send that way you send all orders to Ryan.
That way you can wear it in public. They also are selling these Picorama and Distrib-Pix patches, if you're still using patches. And then this enamel pin for Sex World. And then Melusine Conversation Hearts, which is a really funny idea, but I really wish they got dirtier with the messages on the hearts to fit in with Melusine. I don't want to get from Melusine candy hearts that say the word totes or gal pal.
Look here, this is a very Christian website. You can't order this with your pornography.
I mean,
have a little class.
You're designing the box to be, let's be honest, a box. And the words that you show in the advertisement are totes and gal pal. I mean, they could have done so much better than that. But that's all right. Then Severin kind of came out of nowhere with some major things coming out. These are going to be coming out late in March if you order it from their website, or a wide release date of May 27th. The first title is Entertaining Mr. Sloan from 1970. This is from Joe Orton, who was the first rock star playwright, according to The Guardian. This is going to have an audio commentary with Nathaniel Thompson and Orton scholar Dr. Emma Parker. Some archival interviews, 60 years of Joe Orton's Mr. Sloan featuring Malcolm McDowell and Maxwell Caulfield. Some archival interviews following that as well. We've got some location featurettes, costuming and sexuality, and Entertaining Mr. Sloan, a new visual essay by Alyssa Rose, which was inspired by Lee Gammon, getting Alyssa to do that. So I'm glad that his influence is still being felt.
You know, I've never heard of this movie before you just mentioned it, but even looking at the cover, somehow I knew Malcolm McDowell was in this movie. I don't know how, but I knew.
Stan says Entertaining Mr. Sloan is excellent. That's great. Giant penis cover on the front there for anybody that wants it.
See, I think when I was like kind of reviewing what we'd be talking about, I actually think I went over this one. I was like, oh, that's one of the porn ones. Didn't even like give it a second thought.
Oh, man. Gary Oldman starred as Joe Orton in the biopic Prick Up Your Ears. Good to know. Good to know.
That is such
Next
an odd biopic. Like, that's a random biopic to make.
The same dates, so late March if you get it from their site, and then May 27th if you get the wide release. In My Skin. This is a title that is from 2002 that many have heard of as possibly the first of the new French Extremity titles. There's a handful that vie for one of those distinctions, basically. So this says, you will never forget the debut film by writer-director-star Marina Devon. After a disfiguring leg injury, a young woman develops an unsettling secret relationship with her own body in which pain is pleasure, mutilation is love, and hungers of the flesh have a mind of their own. This is a beautiful and terrifying body horror tour de force, scanned in 4K from the OCN for the first time ever, with 7 hours of special features curated exclusively for this release. It will also have this special diagonal cut slipcase if you get it from their website. The slipcase itself is limited to 2,500 units, which wanted to highlight because Severin for a long time had not been getting counts for any of their limited titles. They would say, like, here's our limited edition or website exclusive slipcover, and then they would just sell them for years. They were somebody that would seem to not be limiting their supposed limited edition titles, but this looks like they're limiting that case to 2,500. So not sure how that's going to sell, but if you're into it, you might want to keep an eye on that stock count. I'm sure they'll remind you to induce that FOMO.
Yeah, 2,500 until they uncover a box in the warehouse. I'm kidding. They're not as bad about that.
Severin has never done that.
No, they haven't. So. I wouldn't be able to make that joke later. So,
touche. This is going to have multiple commentaries. One by Marina Devon, one by Justine Smith. We've got an exclusive Faculty of Horror episode on In My Skin. We've got the same commentaries on the Blu-ray disc, and then a bunch of interviews and visual essays. One by Alexandra Heller Nicholas. Trailers, student short films from Marina Devon as well, which is awesome. And then one of them even has a commentary by the director. And this looks to be like a really solid release if you're into this.
Yeah, I've loved which we're going to get into more new French Extremity here very soon. But I've liked how much like it's been getting like really nice release. Like Frontiers and High Tension got good releases from Second Sight.
Yep.
Martyrs has had about 8,000 releases.
Yet none in the U.S.
None in the U.S. Just the remake. And I mean, you know,
goodness for that.
But yeah, I'm glad to see a little bit more. I guess we're at that age now where they're nostalgic enough, and there's more appreciation for the 2000s horror scene than maybe when it was happening.
Spaghetti says, No Way Home with Tim Roth had numbers written on the cases, but that's the only one you can think of. Well, and even, like, they used to do it back in the day. Like, they did that, the Banana Edition or something. What is the title of that one? Was it Who? Or what? Let me see. It's down here somewhere. It's What by the Roman Polanski film What. When this first came out and it was limited, it had a sticker on the front and it would tell you like they had 2,500 copies or 2,000 or something like that. But that's been a long time since they used to do that. Not sure what changed. Like they got more popular and were selling more, so maybe they just said, why limit them? So I don't know. Been a long time. Some of those titles used to only be limited to 1,000 too.
Yeah, 1,000 used to just be kind of the number for a long time for a lot of these boutique labels. Like,
yeah,
literally every Stephanie Rothman film that I think went, or really Roger Corman that went through Scream Factory was 1,000.
Spaghetti just reminded me. It's the Hot Nights of Linda. That was here it is. Do I have the banana edition? I do. Strictly limited edition. First 2,500 contain a bonus disc. And here's the banana edition of her.
What is on the additional disc?
The alternate French version.
Wild.
Why? Not sure why. But there it is. I love that I had that. Ready to go. House of Psychotic Women Rarities Collection Volume 2 is up now. Same thing. This is coming in late March if you order from their site, or May 27th, wide release date. And this has Butterfly Kiss, Morgiana, The Savage Eye, and The Glass Ceiling. This is curated and produced by Kayla Janice, again, to go along with the book. On Butterfly Kiss, we've got an intro by Kayla. We've got an intro by the writer Frank Cottrell Boyce. Commentary with Kat Ellinger. Some features with the director. Amanda Plummer talks about portraying Eunice in the film. Some other random featurettes. And then a short film called Pleasures of War. And then the rest of the box set. Morgiana, we've got an intro by Kayla, commentary with festival director Brioni Kidd and Cerise Howard, co-founder of the Czech and Slovak Film Festival of Australia. We've got a newly commissioned short film on shooting locations, animated by Leslie Supnet, which is interesting, narrated by Kayla Janice. A 1970 vampire rock musical made for Czech TV called Nightmares, and then a short film called Rest in Peace from 1998. Then disc 3 is The Savage Eye. We've got a commentary with Elizabeth Purcell. There is locations visual essay by Kim Cooper, some archival extras, interviews with some veterans, lots going on. These are all pretty stacked discs. And then The Glass Ceiling gets an intro by Kayla Janice, commentary with Shayla Rowan Legg, author of a forthcoming monograph on director Eloy de la Iglesia, and Faculty of Horrors Alexandra West. There is Patty Shepard, is remembered by her sister Judith Chapman, alternate scenes from the TV version, and then another short film called Anita Mujer. You can pre-order this now. Looks like a pretty damn solid release.
I'm a little worried saying this because last time I said I had not bought a Severin box set. I think I got bullied in your chat for the entire time. But I really do need to pick up the first set because I've been putting that off.
It's a solid set. I won't say all of the titles are winners, but most of them are. Identikit is definitely probably the best film in that first set, but this one, I gotta admit, I think this set is better than the first set. Okay. Just to get the Glass Eye and Morgiana in here is a big deal, and then I've heard the other two are pretty great. This is just a really crazy thing to put all these together. These will most likely get standard releases, but it'll be eventually. These won't get standard releases probably for another year and a half. At least.
So did the first set get the standard releases later, or did they? They did.
They did much later, yeah.
Yeah. Because that came out like what? The same one as the Nasty Habit set? Habit set? Was that the one?
Around the same time, you mean?
Yeah, around the same time, or are they different years?
The first one came out October of 2022, so it wasn't like all that long ago. Okay. And then the Nasty Habit set, that one actually came out in 2021, so just about a year between.
Gotcha. Okay.
Good looking set though. Severin is killing it. And then of course, because it's Severin, if these aren't enough for you, they've got two bundles you can choose from. This first one is $159. You get the House of Psychotic Women Volume 2 in My Skin 4K with that slipcover, Entertaining Mr. Sloan, plus this Entertaining Mr. Sloan keychain that is a definite phallic object, and then a House of Psychotic Women mystery game, which I gotta admit, for some reason, that is very, very tempting. And then they also have this slightly cheaper bundle that's $133 that has the In My Skin, House of Psychotic Women, and the board game set, but it does not have Entertaining Mr. Sloan or the keychain.
Now, that's actually the set. They finally have a set I'm interested in. I usually never look. Is that one actually still?
It is still there, yeah.
Okay. I don't have too many paying fours right now. That'd be fine.
It's 133. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the two things I'd want anyway. And I get a board game that I won't play. That's exciting.
I love that they went and got the styling for the book or the box set to be based on the book and the first set and everything. It looks great. Yeah. Cool. Aaron says, if only I could find a pocket for that keychain. Nice. All right. Oscilloscope has their next title up for pre-order. This is I Like Killing Flies from 2004, which is supposed to be incredible. Have not seen this one myself. This says this bitingly funny comedy follows a prickly, profanity-prone man seeking to preserve his dream. It dishes up bites of wisdom along the way, ultimately serving both a hilarious trip and a charming slice of New York history. You get a short film on here called Cooking with Kenny and a trailer. This should be coming, if you are a subscriber to Oscilloscope, here in the next couple months. And again, great looking art on this release. Love this.
Does it say who did the art for that? Because it is really nice.
It does not. I'm curious. That might just be the original theatrical poster, too.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because Oscilloscope does do that quite often. April 25th, Cardinal Releasing is putting out a Blu-ray and DVD set of B.B. King on the Road from 2018. This is a documentary following him around. It says B.B. King spent 65 years on the road with hardly a break for more than a few weeks' time, totaling some 18,000 performances. To say that there were some more than memorable incidents over all these years would be a massive understatement. Impossible to include all these anecdotes of the numerous dedicated musicians and companions who lived and played with the great B.B. King. And John Brewer's highly acclaimed documentary, B.B. King, The Life of Riley, featuring Morgan Freeman. This feature documentary organically arose after the passing of King in 2015, when a legion of his past band members, family, and companions reached out in an effort to share these stories from the numerous tours over decades, recounting the journey they shared with BB through civil unrest, historical moments in music, and in stage from Chitlin Circuit to stadiums with the Rolling Stones and U2. This is one I will have to own at some point.
You a big fan?
I just love music documentaries like this, but I mean, BB King alone, I've gone down the rabbit hole of like old BB King YouTube for hours sometimes. The stuff that he could do sitting down at such an old age was more impressive than most people I've ever seen play live. It looks like a great release. Cannot wait for this one. Over in the UK, on February 24th, they are getting The Universal Theory from 2023 from Picture Houses. This is supposed to be pretty good. Played on TV over there, I believe, from what I heard. And it's drawing on the cinema of masters like Alfred Hitchcock, David Lynch, and Fritz Lang. Director Tim Kroger impeccably blends past and present, reality and the surreal to create something utterly unique. Looks fun.
Yeah. You know, I've always, like, every time I see, like, the inspired by and they choose like 3 like directors, I'd always wanted to write one of those, and I would just pick 3 out of a hat and just write it on there. Those are the inspirations. Yeah, and somebody will still watch it and believe it.
Next one, Kino announced that Dead of Night from 1945 is getting a 4K release. We just discussed this as coming on Blu-ray from Imprint in a double feature release. But yeah, the OG anthology is getting a 4K release soon from Kino. Have you seen this one, Zach?
I have not. I'm actually adding it now, so I remember to watch it.
It is pretty good. It's not inherently scary, but man, it is a pretty great anthology.
Yeah, I mean, the cover art's going to sell me, so it's fine.
Of course. It's a beautiful one. Then, one of the biggest pieces of news of the week, Kino soon will be releasing Night of the Juggler on 4K from 1980. This is a brand new HDR master of the James Brolin starring film that we've been told for years we could never have released, I believe because of music rights. And this is huge. Again,
that and looking for Mr. Goodbar, all because of like music rights, all in one year. That's actually pretty cool.
And those aren't the only ones. We've had like 12 Grail titles in the last year, all because of rights. Kind of crazy what we've seen pulled off here recently.
Well, maybe finally, Scream Factory can get that one last song for Return of the Living Dead and put it out one more time.
But in the meantime, if people want the
One more.
second sight steelbook that has that song, I'll sell it to you for $400. That's not relevant anymore. Speaking of Dogman earlier, if you would like to own it, you can buy it on Blu-ray and DVD in the U.S. from Universal on April 1st. This is going to have a feature commentary with the director and writer Peter Hastings, some deleted extended scenes. It's going to have a behind the scenes of the recording sessions. It's going to have H reporter Sarah Hadoff delivering a special report on the making of how to draw Flipperama style, blah, 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 a lot of this other stuff. But the big thing that I want to highlight, this little disclaimer that I put in here for things coming from Universal Pictures lately. The digital release for Dogman is in 4K Dolby Vision and has Dolby Atmos on the disc. How do you not put either of those things on disc if you have it readily available? I do not understand. Universal is continuing to do this with some of their titles. I have a feeling that this will likely get a re-release. Let's see, this is coming out in April. I'm going to say around September. That'll be 4K. They'll probably do like a 4K steelbook to entice parents to buy it for their kids. And it'll be, hey, now you can get Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. I'm saying it now. Do not purchase this title on Blu-ray. This is crazy.
And this is like a minor complaint in comparison. But Universal also pisses me off with their 4Ks because they tell you it's a 4K release 8 times on the cover.
Yep.
I guess when they finally do a movie in 4K, they want you to know we really did it, guys. Not just the digital.
Yep. That's pretty annoying for sure.
Yeah.
ZPAM says, try Universal releases in Canada. We get them a month later with French text and worse packaging. Oh, the French.
So, did I miss it? The collector's edition, what's that say, 2000? Is that actually anything important, or is that just some reference I don't get?
It's a Dogman reference.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. I wasn't like, they're going to make it look like a 2000s cartoon. It looks like it could kind of fit, maybe.
Yeah, it's not. Sony Pictures Classics doing some odd things. March 18th, they're putting out a Blu-ray of Bon Voyage from 2003. Really only notable for the actors. We got Isabelle Adjani and Gerard Depardieu in this, which is a big deal, obviously. It is not like this super notable title from what I could see, but it seems like they just want to put out every Sony Pictures Classics out on Blu-ray, because not only are they doing that, they're also doing Monsieur Ibrahim, which is from 2003. Isabelle Adjani is also in this for like a very small cameo. Omar Sharif is in this one as well. But this isn't even the last of the Sony Pictures Classics. I'm very curious why they're doing so many of these.
I mean, I assume they're still going to be doing like their regular. Well, they do Columbia. That's technically under Columbia, so I guess this is their difference. Yeah, I was thinking maybe they're just admitting they're not going to include them, but I guess they wouldn't anyway.
Yeah, it's been an odd time. Either they're going to put out every Sony Pictures Classics on Blu-ray, or I was talking with this guy Bryant earlier, who said maybe they already had the HD masters for someone else overseas or something. But man, it's been an interesting week for titles that most people have never heard of to get announcements from them.
Do they still do MOD for some of those?
As far as I'm aware, no, actually.
I think it was 3 Burials that they did as an MOD.
Sorry, they may be mod, but they're not BDRs anymore. They are pressed mods.
Yeah, I mean, even the 3 Burials was a pressed mod. But yeah.
I mean, a lot of this title is likely not selling 1,000 copies, so I imagine this is definitely going to be mod. But yeah, press mod is happening more and more often. That's for sure. So we got 2 more Sony Pictures Classics to talk about. The first one is Imaginary Heroes, coming on March 18th. This is with Sigourney Weaver and Emile Hirsch, Jeff Daniels, Kip Pardue. There's another one that I had never heard of from 2004.
these are one of these movies, like you talk about like the cast, but it's always like when I sit there and I find a movie that has this amazing cast, and I'm like, man, why haven't I heard of this? And then I watch it, I'm like, oh, that's why.
But it's a Sony Pictures classic. It's got to be
classic. So classic. It's probably got like 450 reviews on Letterboxd.
Oh, that's pretty good for some of these.
Yeah.
We talked about this one a lot last week, so I won't belabor it, but Better Man is getting a 4K and Blu-ray release in the UK, of course, coming on April 7th from Entertainment and Video. Still need to see this. I watched about a 10-minute scene from this today. This movie looks incredible. You saw this one, I'm sure, right?
No, I have no idea who Robbie Williams is, so I didn't watch it.
I mean, most of the US doesn't, but you don't have to. It's a CGI monkey.
I did think it was funny that this. I'd be curious because I hear it has more effects than just the monkey stuff, and I was like, this got a Oscar nomination for best visual effects over Furiosa. It's wild.
I mean, I got to be honest, it looks good enough to get it.
Okay,
from what I saw, I was very impressed with the features that I saw. I don't know, it was pretty good. Then another 4K, April 15th, Warner Brothers is putting out a 4K and a Blu-ray release of Batman Ninja versus Yakuza League. This is supposedly pretty decent. I have not seen it, of course, but it looks great. It's supposedly Batman comics, but drawn by Japanese artists.
Yeah, the thing with like a lot of the Batman anime, I haven't watched them all, but the ones I watched, if it's based on a comic you haven't heard of or a different gimmick, they're usually pretty good. If it's based on one of the more famous ones, it's terrible. I don't know how they screw it up, but that's just typical. So this one's probably is pretty good. I've never heard of it.
Yeah. Looks pretty at least.
Yeah.
Then another title I've been really wanting to see. Have you seen Love Me?
I wanted to. We were going to go see that and Companion the same day, and something came up and we couldn't go. So I really hated that I missed that on this one.
I have heard some wild things about this movie, so I'm really dying to see this. Love Me getting a Blu-ray release in the U.S. from Decal on April 1st. This says, long after humanity's extinction, a buoy and a satellite played by Kristen Stewart and Stephen Yeun, respectively, inherit the Earth, and with only the internet as their guide, learn what it means to be alive and in love. In this groundbreaking first feature from Sam and Andy Zucchero, Love Me explores the AI and identity through live-action animatronics and classic animation in an epic tale of connection and transformation. So from what I hear, like the first half of this movie is just a vocal performance from the two of them.
Okay.
So I'm very, very curious to check this out. It sounds like an actually unique take on an AI film. And that alone is like, well, I mean, I kind of want to see it now.
I mean, I'll watch anything with Kristen Stewart. So, I mean, I'm there. I'm sold.
Yeah, I would agree there. She is a pretty damn great actress. Let's go to our next one, which is Maria from 2024, getting a Blu-ray release in the UK on March 31st. This is coming from Studio Canal, and this is directed by Pablo Larraín, who did Jackie and Spencer. This is the trilogy of Beautiful Women movie. I don't know if there's a title of it yet, but yeah, it's supposed to be great. Angelina Jolie supposedly a powerhouse in this. Very curious to see it.
I will say I do like his approach to biopics more than most. Like, I think I haven't seen this one, but I thought Jackie, Spencer, and El Conde were all really good.
I need to see El Conde for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at least it just feels like something different. Like, I like Spencer because it's pretty much like a ghost story. I was into that.
Right.
I made everyone mad by putting it in my like number 2 best horror film of 2021. So it's stuck there now because I like the reactions.
Perfect. Fun City Editions announced their next title. It is coming on May 6th on Blu-ray, and it is 1984's Falling in Love with Robert De Niro and Meryl Streep. This is coming to Blu-ray for the first time ever with a new remaster. It's got a 4K scan of the OCN. It's going to have a commentary by Jim Hemphill, booklet essays by Mitchell Beaupre and another individual, and then Scott Saslow is doing all the design for it. I love the art that they're using for this. It's to be inspired by the Metro North Hudson line. It looks very nice. Yeah, good stuff.
Very clean.
Craig says I'll buy anything with Bob, so I'm sold. Then our next title is not this one. Umbrella announced some really interesting titles this time. Wake and Fright. They've been talking about this for a while. This is the 1971 film coming on 4K on June 4th in Australia. And there's so much to talk about here. We've got a exclusive custom designed t-shirt by Hollow Bones. Wake and Fright, too upset with authentic British pennies, including instructions. There's a beer pot glass with a beer coaster, 150 plus page hardback book with the original screenplay, artwork, experiences, and essays, a 200 plus page hardback book of the original novel. Then the movie itself is going to have a clear orange plastic slipover case, custom artwork designed by Time Tomorrow, 8 art cards, a reversible poster, and it will be a numbered release, of course. Wake and Fright is a sensational movie. Have you seen this one?
I have. It's been a while. I think I watched it when it was first. I guess it was considered lost for a while, right? And then it finally got a Blu-ray. So yeah, I remember watching it then. I really liked it. I need to revisit it. So maybe I'll revisit it with the 4K.
It is a sweaty damn movie, but very much worth a watch if you've never seen it. So that is the deluxe release, but if you get the standard or the deluxe, you of course get the same discs. We're going to have a new feature remastered in 4K with Dolby Vision. It's got the archival commentary with the director Ted Kotcheff and Anthony Buckley, a new commentary with historian Peter Galvin, and then new bonus feature film from the producers called Sunstruck from 1972, a 50-minute feature tracking down the film's Broken Hill locations, new interview with the DP, new Not Quite Hollywood interview with Jack Thompson, a bunch of archival extras, new making of with Filipa Mora and Paul Harris discussing the film. We've got a trailer reel of Australian films helmed by overseas filmmakers, new interview with Ted Kotcheff about his career. I mean, there's so much more on here that this alone could have been like another full post on here for this title.
You know, and it's fascinating. I didn't know this was filmed in Broken Hill, and it's just like, it's wild how many like big influential movies in Australia were filmed there. Because I feel like every time a bigger one releases like filmed at Broken Hill, I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. There was a Mad Max documentary I watched where they talked about like still finding parts from cars that they wrecked in Broken Hill. So I always thought that was neat.
Very, very neat. An interesting time. I love that they're doing it. That is just their first title, though. And next up is June 4th again, coming on Blu-ray, their New Extremity Collection, Volume 1. And this is going to include High Tension. This is also going to include Anatomy of Hell, Frontiers, and Martyrs. Now, for some people, this is going to seem like you're overdoing it because High Tension and Martyrs have already had pretty great releases recently. Frontiers also got that release from Second Sight. Martyrs has been released many, many times elsewhere other than the U.S., but this box does a lot to kind of sway you, even if you were just sort of considering it. There's a 100-plus page book with essays in it. The artwork is custom, 8 art cards, 2 posters. High Tension has a new commentary with Josh Nelson and Alexandra Heller-Nicholas. There is a new piece on Alexander Aja's High Tension with Anton Battelle, new stills gallery, plus a whole bunch of archival extras. New work on Anatomy of Hell has a commentary by Alexandra West. Kath Dooley on Catherine Briat's Anatomy of Hell. Let's see, a visual essay by Nadine Whitney also. The Tortured and Suffering Women, a New French Extremity with Zoe Rose Smith. Frontiers gets new extras, and then Martyrs is essentially the old disc that they'd already put out. Are you considering this one?
I am, only because I've never bought Martyrs. I've seen it plenty of times over the years, but I guess I've always kind of held out hope that maybe we would actually get a release here. But
right,
it might just be time to just get it, because the only one of those I own is High Tension, so it'd still be a pretty worthwhile set to grab.
Yeah, it's an interesting set too, because if you've got two of these films and not the other two, it's almost price wise worth it. But even if these are some of your favorite movies, new extras on these are pretty great to have everybody talking about them. So it's tough.
And I'm someone that will defend High Tension, so I might as well own it again. So I defend the end of that movie forever.
Well, I'll let you do that all alone.
Yeah, it'll just be me. It's fine. I'll scream from the hilltops.
June 4th, they are also releasing, as part of their new Australian filmmakers line, The Waves of Madness from 2024. This says it is inspired by classic side-scrolling video games and the timeless black and white terror of the 1930s monster movies. This film is Jason Trost's heartfelt tribute to the legacy of horror. Jason is the one that did the FP, if you were paying attention to that, and a beacon looking at its future. A special agent is dispatched to investigate a distress call from a round-the-world cruise, only to find the ship eerily abandoned and haunted by a malevolent force that twists sanity into terror. This is going to have a commentary by Jason on it, and then the actor and producer Talay Wickham, behind-the-scenes featurette, and an Elder of the Seas cruise promo, plus a trailer. This one looks fun, and I really like the art that they're doing on this.
Oh, this is a fairly new movie, too. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, brand new.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it looks good. It's only 70 minutes, too. I can recommend it to Adam. And he'll actually watch it.
Let's see. Going to our next one. They're also doing 10 Canoes from 2006 in one of their deluxe releases. This says, experience Rolf de Heer and Peter Jagier's cautionary tale of forbidden love in this stunning new restoration. Back in the old times, young Aboriginal warrior Dayindi covets the youngest wife of his older brother, Mingululu, and out on the swamp on a goose egg hunting expedition, Minigululu, I'm definitely saying that wrong, tells Dayindi a cautionary story from the mythical times, a tale within the tale of the dire possible consequences if such feelings are acted upon. Those maybe some of the roughest names I've had to say on here. We've got a new documentary on here, new Sydney Film Festival Q&A with the co-directors, plus all kinds of archival featurettes and mini documentaries. This is supposedly great.
Yeah, I was looking it up. I was seeing what country it was coming out of. I could not remember. I think I looked it up earlier.
It is Aussie, I believe.
Okay, it's Australian. Okay.
Good looking stuff. Umbrella has time and time again recently had pretty strong months, which is not great considering how much money I want to send them. Funny enough, though, I still don't ever really buy direct from them. I really need to.
I'm trying to think if I ever have. I don't think I've ever bought direct from them at all. No, I'm looking at my shelf. I don't think so.
I just got my trade-in from Bryant recently. That's the only time, and even then, he bought them and I didn't. So I probably need to do another group buy or something because there's a few that I want from them. Next, this morning, we got indicator titles, 2 more Jean Roland. We've got May 19th in the UK, May 20th in North America, coming on 4K and Blu-ray. The first one, The Iron Rose from 1973. This is one that somehow I've not been able to see, considering how many Jean Roland titles I have. I don't know how I've not seen this one, but I'm dying to see it. This is supposedly, for most people, their favorite of his. So very, very curious to see this soon. You got a commentary with Tim Lucas on here. We've got all kinds of archival featurettes. If you have any of these Jean Roland titles they've put out before, you kind of know how they treat these. They get new extras. They get all kinds of archival extras. Great booklet, new everything. The restorations look solid. This is supposed to be amazing.
Yeah, I have a few of them. I need to dig into them, but I've got a few of these titles that they've done.
Yeah, not all of them are great, so I can see why.
Yeah, I mean, and what it really was, I plan on trying to get them all because I'm interested, but it's just I really need to watch the first 3 before I just keep buying them.
Right.
Make sure I'm blowing a limited amount of money.
Corinne says this is their favorite movie from Jean Roland, so that's nice. Craig says, in the past 3 minutes alone, I placed my pre-order for Falling in Love with Fun City, and my mail came with a 7-disc order from Diabolic. Very nice. Bryant says, ordering direct from Umbrella is not bad. You get free shipping eventually. Yes, but parting with that much money at once is what makes it difficult, because free shipping is, what is it, $250, I think?
Man, that would have to be like, I would just do like one a year. Like, it's like, all right, everything I wanted from the year, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what you're buying too, I guess, because if you're buying the big sets, $250 happens quick. We're talking like sometimes like 2 releases.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, how much was their Wicker Man set? Did they do Wicker Man, or
that was Imprint?
That was Imprint who did it. That's right. That's right.
All right, so that's the Iron Rose, and then the second one is Girls Without Shame, also known as Schoolgirl Hitchhikers, from 1973. Also getting all the same treatment we just said. 4K Blu-ray releases May 19th in the UK, May 20th in North America. Another Roland title. It'll be limited to 10,000, 6,000 4K, 4,000 Blues. Lots of stuff on this one again, just like the last release. Pretty incredible. Yeah, definitely one that I want to see too, because I don't think I've ever seen this one.
No, I have definitely not.
Yeah, lots of good comments coming in. They sent me a 25% off coupon once, then never again, says Brian. Yeah, those coupons for Umbrella would help a lot. This title, March 24th on Blue in the UK from Signature Entertainment, is Escape from the 21st Century. This is a Chinese film that's supposedly pretty great. It says, prepare to step in and out of time with 3 friends as they discover they have the power to travel back and forth through the fabric of time with a sneeze. However, the lives they hope to have in the future are not as promising as they had anticipated, and with that, they need to take on the responsibility of taking over the world.
Oh, Jeremy Long's seen this one. Now, what shocker. He's seen everything that I look at.
Yeah, this is supposed to be great. And, I mean, you like time travel movies quite a bit.
Yeah, I have to check this one out. I added it, and I have to look at it. That's also one that came out recently, so a lot of good stuff.
All right, so that's that one. No announcement on the U.S. for this one, at least yet. Eureka came out swinging today. Yeah. So this first one, May 19th in the UK, they're putting out Masters of Cinema line, their next edition, which is Strange New World Science Fiction at DIFA, their box set. Now, what's interesting is 2 of these 4 titles are out from Deaf Crocodile coming this month. The other 2, Craig, please correct me in the chat if I'm wrong here, but they were looking into these. One of them had rights issues. They're not necessarily not chasing them down still, but they have not signed the other 2 because of that rights question. So you are getting half of the films here if you are a Deaf Crocodile subscriber or get their stuff. But the big thing is different extras on both releases. So if you really love like sci-fi animation, you kind of may want both of these releases. And this box set looks gorgeous too.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, it's they have art that's coming up later that I think looks really nice too. They did great this month.
Oh, yeah. So this will be limited to 2,000. It's got 60-page book in here. It's got all 4 films presented in 1080, of course. There's a new 6K scan of the 70mm OCN for Signals, 4K scan of Aeolomia. There are 2K scans of the other 2, and then we've got animated shorts. We've got a doc short on the future of love in East Germany, produced by DIFA. New interviews with sci-fi and Soviet experts, new commentaries on all 4. There is so much coming on this box. This is pretty great. And Craig says, since everyone's been asking, yes, we're looking at the other titles. One is a bit tricky with the rights. With any luck, we will put out another volume that has those other 2 films. So, good to know. Next one from them is The Bells of Death, the next Shaw Brothers release from Eureka. This is a wuxia film from 1968. This looks really good, actually. We've got a new commentary by Frank Jang, new commentary by Mike Leader and Arna Venema, new interview with Wayne Wong, the editor of Martial Arts Studies, booklet with new writing as well. Just another incredible Asian release from Eureka.
So between Scream, Arrow, and Eureka, are we like getting close here to all these Shaw Brother movies?
Not even remotely close.
Wonderful.
That's the crazy part.
That's the intimidating part of why I haven't gotten into them.
There's still like 450 other Shaw Brothers titles that have never been released on Blue.
At least it can last a while.
Well, I'm willing to bet most of those don't have good elements. So hopefully we can get a lot of them in HD. But yeah, there are so many left to come.
That's wild.
Yeah, you said, "Are we close?" And Brian immediately said no. When I said 450, he said or more. And then KN5150 says not even half. Yeah, there's a lot.
So Arrow's put out what, three volumes, and then
3 of their Shaw scopes, and they put out standalone titles that were Shaw Brothers titles too.
And then Scream, have they put out anything unique that Arrow hasn't put out?
Oh yeah, all of them.
Okay. I didn't know. I couldn't remember. I like I said, I'm very unfamiliar if there's like overlap there or not.
Well, got to remember the Arrow Shaw Brothers box sets are released in the U.S. too. So Scream couldn't get the rights for those.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Then they're also putting out Terror in the Fog, the Wallace Creamy collection, or the Wallace Creamy at CCC collection. This is from 1963 to 1964. It includes The Curse of the Yellow Snake, The Strangler of Blackmore Castle, The Mad Executioners, The Monster of London City, and The Racetrack Murders. And I desperately must purchase this box set.
Yeah, I've never heard of any of these, but somebody was letting me know, and it might be in your description, I can't remember, that it's supposed to be like pre-Giallo type thing. So I kind of
these are basically German Jolly.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sold. I don't need any more convincing.
These look incredible. I've wanted to see like a rise in creamy releases for quite some time. This will have a 60-page booklet in there. We've got commentaries. We've got introductions by Tim Lucas. We've got interviews that are brand new visual essays by Alexandra Heller Nicholas. Kind of like everything you would want on a box set like this. And the art is good. It's coming from somebody that you can trust their discs. I don't see a reason to not do this. This looks like an impeccable release from them.
I've only got a few Eureka things. So what is like a starting price for them on this type of thing typically?
I'm betting I didn't even look at their site. This is probably about $50.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
50 or 60, something like that.
I haven't went to their actual site yet.
So on their site, it's 45 pounds. So
probably come up so like 52, 57,
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's not bad at all.
That's an incredible price.
Yeah. Orbit, hurry up.
It might already be on Diabolic too. Maybe not.
I'm looking to see if it's on Orbit.
Oh, yes, it is. It's on Diabolic for 63. That's one you might just want to order direct.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Is it... Only thing is, I'd have to use my credit card. I'm trying not to. Or my bank, like my bank has gotten so bad. I ordered from Grindhouse Video like a year ago, and keep in mind, I regularly buy movies with the same debit card. Never had a problem. This is like, you look on there, these are normal things. I bought a couple movies from Grindhouse, and they treated it as someone had stolen my card. It was like, so let me get this straight. Somebody stole my card and bought the same things I normally buy. And this was an issue.
What a coincidence.
Okay. So I it's a mess. And I don't order from Grindhouse unless I can do that. It's pretty much anything overseas too, or my bank will have a conniption. Even if I tell them I'm buying it, they'll have a conniption about it.
Well, and then on top of that, foreign transaction fees for most people, which, reminder for anybody in the U.S., if you are ever buying direct online from anybody outside of the U.S. and you want to avoid foreign transaction fees, if you pay with a Capital One credit card, or if you bank at Capital One and use their card for that, they do not charge any foreign transaction fees. So completely worth it to use that.
Wait, Harper's Island is getting a this is probably something you talked about last week. I was on Orbit seeing if they put it up, but Harper's Island's getting another release. That's awesome.
I don't even remember which one that is by title.
it was a slasher TV show from like the early 2000s, maybe like 2008.
Yeah, it's getting a ViaVision release. That's the parent company of Imprint. Have not talked about that one yet.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I'm sorry to spoil. I didn't know it was on here.
It wasn't going to be. It wasn't going to be talked about tonight. They don't ever really announce like normally, so they're really hard to track sometimes. And I don't post everything they announce. Is the way I'll say that. Then Criterion today announced their next Janus contemporary title. This is Room 666, Room 999. I don't know why that says Terror in the Fog there, so we'll just ignore that. At the 1982 Cannes Film Festival, Wim Wenders asked such filmmaking luminaries as Michelangelo Antonioni, Rainer Werner Fassbinder, Jean-Luc Godard, Gugnier, Werner Herzog, Steven Spielberg, and Susan Seidelman to ponder the question, is cinema a language about to get lost, an art about to die? 40 years later, adopting the same minimalist fixed camera format as Wenders, Lubna Playoust poses the same question to a group of contemporary auteurs, including Cronenberg, Claire Denis, Ashgar Farhadi, James Gray, Lynn Ramsey, and Wenders himself. Together, Room 666 and Playhouse's Room 999 capture the unfiltered perspectives of path-breaking filmmakers on the state of the industry, as well as the upheavals brought on by various new technologies and methods of distribution, in the process touching on large-scale issues of politics, culture, and the meaning and continued relevance of cinema in two distinct eras nearly half a century apart.
That's a lot. And, yeah.
It is a lot, but a must-own release from the sound of it.
Do you think they have like an edit where they just edit out Goddard, and I might buy it? Just edit out his section.
It's just automatically fast-forwarded for you.
Yeah, like that'd be fine. Make me a specialized copy.
This is that Sony Pictures classic I was talking about. Bossa Nova from 2000 is getting a Blu-ray release. This is with Amy Irving, and looks like it's set in some really nice areas to film in, at least. Bossa Nova is a cast of Brazilian favorites, and will whisk you away with a refreshing look at the complexities of love, coming on April 15th.
You know, this is one of these releases that you almost feel like you want to make fun of just because it's so random. But I know there is like one person in the world who is so excited.
Or, hear me out, there could even be a Brazilian.
Yeah.
That was a really dumb joke. All right. That is not it. May 19th, the UK is getting a 4K Steelbook from Warner Brothers that they are calling their Ultimate Collector's Edition, and also a regular Steelbook release of Lethal Weapon from 1987, starring Danny Glover and the other guy, and this is going to have all kinds of stuff with it. It's got a rigid slipcase with a removable sleeve, a double-sided poster, 3 behind-the-scenes cards, 4 character cards. They haven't announced the on-disc features. I'm betting there won't be much new because it's Warner. I'm betting you love Lethal Weapon.
It's got Mel Gibson in it, so there's a good chance for that. It's 80s and 90s Mel Gibson. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, 87. Yeah, it's a fun movie. Richard Donner directing, Shane Black writing. It's pretty good.
I mean, I try to watch it during Christmas. You know, you got to get a Shane Black movie.
It's a Christmas movie.
Every Christmas. If Die Hard works, this works too.
Well, if this isn't enough for you, they're also doing over in the UK, March 31st, a 4K steelbook of A Clockwork Orange. No new extras, but it's nice to see this steelbook existing. And on the same day, you can get one for Full Metal Jacket from Warner Brothers as well.
I have to go pull my copy. Isn't that basically the same as the US's Clockwork Orange, but it's not orange?
Yes, I think so.
I'd have to go pull my copy out from the other room, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty close.
The US one is like the orange triangle overlaid over the characters walking towards you. I don't think it's the under the bridge scene, but yeah, it's actually quite a bit different. This is
I see it now. Yeah, I see it. Tells you how often I pull that movie out. But the back is what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I definitely forgot to say about Lethal Weapon. Sorry about that. This is the theatrical and the director's cut coming in 4K, which is a big deal. The director's cut has not been easy to see. It's not really a director's cut. They probably should just call it the extended cut because it was basically just deleted scenes put back in. But I actually like that cut better on that one.
I don't know if I could tell you the difference between them. Are they significantly different? I can't even.
They are actually, yeah. There's a handful of scenes that change it a bit, yeah.
I'd be curious to know which one I've been watching. I just watch whatever. Probably if it's streaming, it's probably the theatrical one.
Probably theatrical.
I don't own it.
I was just going to make a dumb joke, but I like that Full Metal Jacket is being released in a Full Metal Jacket.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for the attempt. If those UK releases aren't enough for you, they're also doing a deluxe set for Dirty Harry. This is going to be the same steelbook that's being released everywhere else, but it also comes with a rigid slipcase, double-sided poster, the Scorpio crime scene map, which is, I don't know, maybe the coolest part about this, police file recreation, a suspect profile card, ransom note card, and then 9 other art cards, including behind the scenes and character cards.
Then this one's coming through. Is this one of the Lionsgate Limited ones? Is that who the
No, this is Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers, that's right. I'm getting them all mixed up now because they're all doing their own steals now.
Yeah, especially Warner Brothers and over in the UK, that's for sure. I just wish they'd give the US the same amount of love.
Yeah.
Day of the Fight from 2024 getting a Blu-ray release on April 7th in the UK from Icon Film Distribution. Notable, I guess, primarily because of the cast. Michael C. Pitt, John Magaro, who I'm falling in love with, Steve Buscemi, Ron Perlman, and Joe Pesci in 2024. Joe Pesci.
I thought he retired again.
I had no idea that he did this, and here he is in Day of the Fight.
Okay, who directed? Does it say who directed this?
It is Jack Huston.
Houston, okay,
yeah. It's from the producer of The Irishman and Joker. From the producer of Irishman and Joker. Day of the Fight comes a bold filmmaking debut from acclaimed actor turned writer director Jack Huston, who was in Boardwalk Empire and House of Gucci.
I'm really disappointed they didn't say from the producers of Joker 2. I think they should embrace it.
Yeah, they probably should. Icon is also doing Let's Get Lost on the same day, April 7th. This is a Chet Baker film. Renowned filmmaker Bruce Weber's Academy Award-nominated doc following the late jazz great Chet Baker across the U.S. and continental Europe on what turned out to be the last tour and year of his life.
That sounds like a bummer.
A bit, yeah, but I still want to see it now. And then finally, MVD Rewind had their newest announcement. This is the last announcement of the week. June 10th, we're getting a Blu-ray and DVD of Terminus from 1987. And Eric posted that as far as he can tell, this has never been on home video ever before, not even VHS.
Wow.
Yeah. This says, in the year 2037, the future is in the hands of a genetically engineered boy, Maddie, a child genius with a brain programmed by a brilliant and evil doctor. Maddie is the master of a sadistic cross-country rally with $100 million prize that no one has ever won, controlling Monster, a gigantic AI-operated storm truck that rumbles across the continent while being pursued by a squad of rebels determined to stop Monster before it reaches the end of the line. Karen Allen is in this, which is amazing. You've got the U.S. version of Terminus, that's 83 minutes. You also have the extended French version, which is 115 minutes. That is so much longer. And then the English version is in English. The French version is in French. You've got a new interview. Yeah, usually. You got a new interview with the star Jürgen Prochnow that is 15 minutes long. New making of Terminus, including interviews with a bunch of people from the film that's almost 50 minutes long. Photo gallery, and then if you buy it as it first comes out, you get the slip and the poster as well. I have never heard of this.
But if you want to watch it, it's on Tubi.
Good to know. But which version?
I have no idea. Let me go on Tubi. It's probably the 83-minute one.
Most likely, yeah.
I can't imagine they randomly have well, you know what, I say that, but it would be like them to actually have the.
Turns out Tubi has 3 versions for some reason.
Like they found another one.
You can also get the Ethiopian version.
Hour 23 minutes. So yeah, they have the 83 one.
Not bad.
Yeah.
As always, we always cover what's coming out next week. Because it is the last week of the month, this is going to have all the VS and OCN titles, so we're going to skip over those. Amadeus 4K finally dropping next week. Reminder that is not both cuts. It's only one of them. Cruising 4K officially coming out, even though people have been getting that thing from Arrow for weeks now. The Third Man 4K Steelbook from Lionsgate Limited. Chronos 4K from Criterion. The wide release of The Mask of Satan from Severin. Graveyard Shift 4K from Kino. My Girl 4K from Sony. Performance 4K from Criterion. Body Parts 4K from Kino. Thong Girls wide release from Severin. The Forbidden Kingdom 4K from Lionsgate. That's an Amazon exclusive. Your Next 4K Steelbook from Lionsgate Limited. Hokuriku Proxy War from Radiance. Welcome to Fun City from Fun City Editions. Documentary Now, the complete series from Mill Creek. Doctor Who Sylvester McCoy Complete Season 2 from BBC. MXC Most Extreme Elimination Challenge Volume 2 is coming out next week, which I need to pick up again. The Conqueror from Kino, that is the John Wayne cancer movie. The Lady Assassin from 88 Films. Dinosaur Valley Girls from Visual Vengeance. The Cat from Radiance. Noble House from Kino. Evil Enko 4K from Unearthed Films. Revenge of the Radioactive Reporter from TerraVision is still scheduled to ship over the next week or so you can look forward to that. Gwen and the Book of Sand 4K from Deaf Crocodile, I think I said that right, is shipping starting this week. Hard Truths coming out. God, that is an ugly cover with the Blu-ray symbol multiple times there.
It's a universal title.
It must be. The Emperor Jones coming from Filmmasters. Signals, a space adventure, and In the Dust of the Stars, also from Deaf Crocodile, shipping this week. Project Silence 4K over there from Cape Light. Dinner with Leatherface from the brand new Anchor Bay, back at it. Sony Pictures Classics titles of Character and Respiro coming out this week. Omar and Cedric from Oscilloscope getting its wide release. Yellow Dragons Village and Visitors from TerraVision shipping as well. Let me see. Devils from TerraVision shipping this week. Grow Up Tony Phillips shipping from TerraVision this week. Daddy from Anchor Bay. And I think that's it. There's a lot of stuff coming out this week.
Yeah. That documentary Now is really cool, though. I'm excited for that.
Yep.
Batshit Valley is probably my favorite episodes of that.
Nice.
And then Graveyard Shift getting a 4K. I didn't realize that was getting one, so that's exciting.
Yes, sir. So many of those Scream Factory titles getting a 4K from Kino after that.
Yeah. That's the Kino way. They did it to Criterion, now it's Scream Factory star.
Aaron said, been waiting on that documentary now set. Craig says subscribers should be receiving their orders now from us. I know a few showed up on people's doorstep today. Wow, very nice.
Mine should be here tomorrow. It's at my hub, but we'll see.
I just got my shipping notification. Dang it. Anything from next week that you got your eye on other than documentary now or graveyard shift?
Let's see. Probably nothing else in a huge hurry to get. The You're Next, I'm kind of curious about, but I've literally owned that movie 4 times.
Do you have the second sight?
Yes. So I don't feel like I really
the exact same thing, except the steelbook.
Yeah, I thought about maybe doing all the Lionsgate limited ones just because they're really nice, but then I'm like, I don't know if I really want to get invested in that. I thought they might be doing something like every once in a while, and then I've seen what they've done. Like they did the 3 Tarantinos, and I'm like, oh, this is going to get rough, so maybe not.
Evan, thank you. I must have misspoke on that. The Crimmy set that Eureka is doing is not UK only. It's also a US set. The US set is always slightly more expensive, so that's the price difference there.
Okay.
But that's a good thing because then it won't be region locked, so that's always a win.
Yeah. I'm pulling out my region free player less and less, so that's a good thing.
That is a good thing, especially with 4Ks, obviously.
Yeah. You can play on my PS5. It's fine.
All right. We are now into the big discussion for the night, which is a really fun one because not a lot of people talk about Larry Fessenden. When did you first discover Larry Fessenden, Zach?
I'm trying to think. I didn't see any of his directorial movies for really a long time, but he's always been someone I've been aware of because he's acted in so much stuff. I would say probably around the time when I really started getting into movies in college. So probably around the time like Late Phases and Stakeland and all that was coming out, and he always played. Of course, I've seen him in You're Next. That's probably one of the first things I probably ever saw him in that I can remember. Right. And then Until Dawn came out around that time. I was a big fan of that. So he's always been someone I've been very aware of. But as far as like, and we'll get into this, but he's had such an odd career as a director he's kind of a hard one to get into on that era, even though I think most of his movies are actually really good, even though he's only made like 7 feature films.
I mean, we had a hard part with this because technically, from what I found, he's done 10 feature length, but 3 of them are literally impossible to see. I can't find them online anywhere, even illegally. I can't find. There's not been a disc release for those 3. They're all 80s films. What's wild to me is this Scream Factory set, which I would love to be holding right now and showing you, but again, left it upstairs. I apologize. It basically was like, this is his career, but it's only those 4 films at that time, which is such an odd choice. And then they go out to put out pretty much everything that he's done after that on disc as well so far. Except for
it's pretty much from 91. Right? Yeah. And I mean, the tough part with that is, this is a guy who's really been a director. I think the earliest I saw was 73 when he made like a stop motion Jaws short film. And He's loved
Jaws for a long time,
which we'll talk about probably very early in this.
Very early.
But no, I mean, it's a guy who's been so involved. Like there's a guy whose reviews I like on Letterboxd, and he always calls him the patron saint of indie horror. And I've always liked that title, and I think it's a good descriptor for him. That's what he feels like. He's so involved in the indie horror scene, and I think he brings a lot of gravity to like what that movement can be. I mean, of course, I guess he's really the big mover on like mumblecore horror and stuff like that. So, I mean, guys like Ty West and Adam Wingard and stuff like that owe a lot to Fessenden in a lot of ways.
I love that the 2 main I guess nicknames or titles that I've seen given to him were that one, the King of Indie Horror or whatever, or not King, the patron saint of indie horror, and then the King of New York after one of his films was a big deal. Which I mean, if you're owning those 2 superlatives, that's pretty damn great.
Yeah, I mean, and the dude's obviously like incredibly well connected. I mean, he got to do a cameo in Killers of the Flower Moon. He shows up in like so much random stuff. Obviously, must be a very well liked guy, and I mean, interviews I've seen with him, he seems to be.
Yeah, supposedly he's pretty great to work with. I not going to give away any choices yet, but I will say I definitely watched a lot of the extras on the discs this week. Wasn't definitely not able to give any time to commentaries because he does. I think he did them for every single film, but I must admit it seems like very fun sets. Everybody seems fun to work with. They seem like he is open to feedback, but also. Probably not a great way to say this, like open to feedback, but he's also particular because he has he definitely has a vision for what he wants for his films.
Yeah, every one of them, for the most part, have a style where if I say, funny enough, when I was watching Beneath before I came on the show, this last one I needed to watch, and there was 2 movies called Beneath that came out in 2013, and I started watching it, and I was watching one, and it had Jeff Fahey showed up. And I'm like, Jeff Fahey's in a Larry Fessenden movie? And then I started watching, I'm like, wait a minute, this is definitely not a Larry Fessenden movie. And I had to go find the other one.
So tonight we're covering 7 films, all of his directorial films from 1991 and beyond. I also watched some of his shorts. We might mention those in passing probably afterwards, just slightly. But very, very interesting, varied career. He's definitely got a wide variety of styles and all that. But let's just get into it, Zach. We're going to be ranking his filmography. What's your number 7, Zach? Let's both talk about it.
I feel like it's going to be the same one, but the number 7 I have on here is Beneath from 2013.
Yes.
And honestly, the thing that kind of sticks out to me when I look at his filmography is he has 7 films, and this is the only one that doesn't seem to have like what I call a pair. You know,
yeah.
Like when you look at Wendigo and you look at the Last Winter, they kind of go together. Blackout and Depraved go together, which we'll talk a little bit about when we get there. And really, I think No Telling and Habit have like a very like similar through line through them that feel like very together. So,
although No Telling and Depraved definitely go together too. I did.
Oh yeah. He has connections throughout, but it's Beneath just feels so by itself. Like, there's a few moments in it that are pretty okay. Like I actually like the fish design, like the big catfish. I think it's neat. The characters really kill this. Like it just feels like every indie horror movie I watch where they substitute having a personality with being annoying.
Yeah, there's not a single likable character in this film at all. No one has redeeming qualities. Nobody does anything to get you on their side. The dialogue is very cringy. I don't know if I said it out loud, but this is clearly my number 7 as well. And what's crazy is this is number 7, and there could have been like 15 other films between this and number 6. I feel like the rest of this list are films that I truly really enjoyed other than this one.
Yeah, and I would love to. This might be one I would actually like to listen to his commentary on, just to kind of see. My guess is this is probably, from what I can tell, this might be the first time he used film, which I don't think the film looks bad, but it's kind of weird to take like a 7-year hiatus and then come back with this, and then take another hiatus. Digital? I would assume so, because the last one he made before that was in 2006.
Okay, well, I was making sure because you said it was the first time he used film.
Oh, my mistake. I meant digital. That's my bad.
I think you are correct.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't look bad or anything, but I mean, it definitely looks different than when you compare it to like the Last Winter, which is the one he did before it, which we'll get to it, but I actually think it might be one of the most beautiful films of his that he made with how good that film looks. And then to go to this one, it's just kind of, it feels like a movie I would have just randomly found on like Amazon Prime or something and killed an afternoon with. It doesn't really feel like anything.
Well, and special. I guess we probably should say, for anybody that's not seen this, which is probably most people, this is essentially a 90-minute movie about a handful of friends that are trying to row across a lake. That's literally the entire film. You start the movie with them on the edge of the lake with a rowboat, getting it to the water and trying to go across, basically, in the first 70 seconds of the film.
Yeah, and it takes a lot from me. It looks like a lot like it's the inspiration for Open Water, which is not a great sell for me because I don't particularly like open water as a concept.
Right.
It's not quite as hopeless as open water, but it might as well have committed to it. Yeah, it's just it has some neat ideas. I don't want to just trash the film because there's a part in the film where they start discussing like somebody's got to get off the boat, and I think that has potential for really good drama if I actually cared who had to go in the water.
Right. At that point, I wanted them all to get off the boat.
Yeah, like I don't care. Like you had that one character who's like ranting and raving about how he's going to be an important filmmaker, and I think the purpose is these are supposed to be really unlikable characters, but I don't think it made it an enjoyable watch.
No, and that has worked in other films. I don't think this one particularly does.
No, I don't think it's quite schlocky enough. That's one thing. Credit to Fessenden. I think he takes his films pretty seriously. Like, I mean, there's a lot of humor in them, but at the end of the day, I think he's doing these sincerely and earnestly. And so this one kind of sticks out in that regard. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to or not.
Right.
Especially after watching, this was the last one I hadn't seen. And so it kind of stuck out probably even more than it would have.
Well, now following this, I'm very curious to see if we're going to have any others that match up, because now I'm just trying to think forward. But some other things about this, it's got the gentleman that played Hector Salamanca in Breaking Bad, the wheelchair dude. He makes 2 appearances in this film. The second one is so weird. The last like 10 minutes of this movie. And I kind of just said it very quickly in my Letterboxd review for this, but it basically devolves into like a soap opera dramatization of I'm better than you, you're worse than me, to they're coming out of the lake, to everybody's dying, to who knows what, very quickly. And then suddenly there's drama with Hector Salamanca's character again. And it's like, this didn't even need to be like, this movie could have been done 10 minutes ago. It was so weird.
Yeah, and I almost feel like they wanted to pull like a Lake Placid. Like, yeah, it doesn't work as well as Lake Placid works.
No, and I do admit, like you said, that you like the fish design. What's really great here is he didn't use like egregious CGI. This is a physical, practical fish monster thing that he puts in the water. It is very obviously fake, but it is so much better than cheap CGI could have been in this situation.
Which he does employ later on.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He definitely does. And earlier on, too, to varying degrees of success. Yeah. Go ahead.
Are we going for number 6?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Number 6, I got The Last Winter, which I mentioned a few minutes ago. I think is a great looking film. I think it's his best looking film, like altogether. Like the way he films Alaska, I assume it takes place in Alaska, and I guess I'll go over what it's about before I get too much into it. It's basically The Thing with more like climate stuff going on. Yeah, I think that sums it up. It's basically his version of John Carpenter's The Thing. So you do have that isolation in Alaska, but I actually like how much warmer like the film looks compared to something like The Thing, which feels so bleak and everything else. There's some interesting beauty to the way he photographed here. The one thing that kind of made it down on the list, though, as much as I really did like it, was I think this is probably his most well-known actors that he's had in a movie that I can think of.
By far.
But I think this is some of the weakest acting that he's had in that same bit. Like I didn't think Ron Perlman did a bad job, but I also wasn't like invested into Ron Perlman.
He was basically playing. He was playing every Ron Perlman character in this movie.
Yeah, and I like Zach Gilford in it. I think Zach Gilford does probably the best job in the film. He's not in it a ton, but it was kind of nice to see him like pre Mike Flanagan.
Yeah.
So what was your number 6?
My number 6 is Blackout, and again, this is not to say that Blackout is a bad movie, because it is nowhere near as low as Beneath. Beneath is the only one I would say is a bad movie on this list. So Blackout is essentially his homage to the Universal horror Wolfman type story. It is small town Wolfman type story that has, I just said Wolfman type story twice, that has a wolf character that you see that is attacking people randomly, and there's a lot of drama surrounding him. But again, lots of decent practical effects that are shown in this movie. Some good shocks. There's one part where the wolf is chasing an individual from a crash site. And the character does not get attacked by the wolf. Something else happens. And that shock totally got me. Did not expect that to happen whatsoever. I was definitely let down by the acting most of all in this film. I feel like it's one of the worst in all of his movies.
It's definitely up there. Yeah, it's a little bit more melodramatic too.
Yeah, it's very soap opera acting throughout the entire thing, and he doesn't have many big names or anything in this movie, so it's very obvious that it's like very indie type feel. Barbara Crampton's in it, not very long.
She gets to be called hot like a few times, I think, if I remember correctly, and I think that's her whole part.
Silent Mandible saying, I'm sorry, what was this called? If you're talking about the werewolf one, it's called Blackout. The one that Zach mentioned is called Last Winter. The Last Winter, sorry.
Yeah.
Blackout is from 2023. I probably should have said that at the very beginning, because there's many films. Like, a lot of his titles have been the same titles as other films, so it's hard to track down sometimes. The biggest thing that I do want to say about Blackout that is redeeming is I'm a music person at heart. Grew up in marching band, jazz band, helped in the music industry and all that stuff. I love when a score can feel transformative, and I truly feel that of all of his films, the score for this movie raised this movie to a level that everybody else was in a different movie than the score, and the score was in something that deserved like at least a B tier movie, and this is like a C tier movie.
I'm glad you mentioned the score, because that was one of the things I put in my review. Nice. That was probably my favorite horror score from last year. Like, it's really good.
It's incredible. The final act especially starts getting these discordant sounds from like different parts of the orchestra that shouldn't go well together, and it sounds like it would be just something like on a minor scale, like the Jaws 2-note riff or whatever, right. But it feels so much more than that in the moment, and it actually is raising the tension, raising the drama in ways that the characters aren't. Definitely something that if you're going to go watch this movie, listen out for the score. It's worth it. And again, the makeup in this is not perfect. You can tell it's a cheap movie to make, but some of the practical effects are pretty good. And then also, like, not to just be like trying to be a horn dog or anything, but a lot of his movies, it feels like there should be a little more of a trashier element, and this is one of the rare movies that you actually get some nudity in it, and it's nice to see in those passing scenes that he's willing to go there, especially this late in his directing career. It's a good movie. I like it.
Yeah, and it makes me interested, and I hate to kind of do this because I want to try to be vague, but I am excited. Like, that there does seem to be, because where he has such a long time between movies, he's obviously really excited to like build off of like Depraved and Blackout, and I'm excited for that. Like, I'm like, this dude wants to create a cinematic universe now. Cool. I would love to see what an indie cinematic universe looks like. Like, go for it, man.
I did want to remind people too, Blackout, you probably don't remember, but we talked about this a year ago, something like that. This got a release from Dark Sky Films on their Dark
Steelbook,
Sky,
right?
Not a steelbook. This is one of those things where they were kind of
vague. That's right.
They were vague. It had the rounded corners, and everybody thought it was a steel, but it's just a slipcover. What's great about it is I saw it at the time and went, the art is kind of cool, I guess, from like a little interesting way. But then you watch the movie, and there's an animated scene in this movie.
The rotoscope. Yeah, it's so cool.
It is so cool. Good. And now that slipcover makes so much more sense and fits. It is an incredible looking release for this movie. Definitely something that if you've never seen it before and you only saw that release, it probably wouldn't entice you to buy it. But after you've seen the film, you're going to be glad if you do own that disc.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where I think what makes there'll be times we're going to talk about kind of the weaker CGI, but when he takes these opportunities to say, okay, I have something I want to do. How do I do this within my budget? Like budget of what I have from Glass Eye, his own company. But it's like, okay, werewolf transformations look like garbage when they're not done when they're done way too cheap.
Yeah.
Why don't I just rotoscope it? It makes it unique. It's not expensive. That's cool. Like I think that's when I went through these, I think that was always what I was impressed about was he'd have these bigger ideas and he'd find a way to make them work within these really small budgets.
Yeah, he is clearly one of those filmmakers that is, he's told, and this happens a lot on films that are around the budget that he's doing. He was probably told, like, we'll give you $2 million to make this. And then after he shot for a couple of weeks, they went, oh, well, maybe we can do $1.5 million. And other directors have been like, well, fuck, I can't do it then, or something. And he's just like, okay, we'll make the best of it that we can. And he goes through and makes something that is genuinely successful. It just hurts when he can't do what he clearly is seeing in his mind.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes there is just a limitation. Like we'll probably talk about last winter when we get to yours, but I'm very mixed on the CGI in that one. Like part of me thinks it kind of works. And then part of me is like, it really doesn't.
I'll expand on that for sure in a minute.
Yeah. So, but I'll have more about Blackout in a little bit. But for my number five, we'll go with Wendigo, which I find the most fascinating because everything else is kind of based off something up beneath his Jaws and Lake Placid. You have Last Winter, which is more The Thing. We have Blackout, which is Wolfman. Wendigo is kind of interesting because it's not really based on like a necessarily an influence, like not an overt one. And I do like that. I think it was kind of interesting to kind of see him go. I hate that I have like the least memory of this one because I saw it probably 2 years ago. But I remember a lot of it was probably one of the more creepier ones he had done as well. I remember a lot of the horror scenes sticking out to me pretty well. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I wish I could expand more, but I don't want to sit here and try to remember too much.
I will talk about Wendigo quite a bit later, which is kind of surprising. I expected that to be higher on your list. My number 5, which I feel like this may be maybe my only hot take. I feel like other people would probably think this is much higher on theirs, or maybe switching with Last Winter. My number 5 is Depraved. And again, I don't think this is a bad movie. I think the rest of these are all really great. But Depraved is a very unique modern retelling of the Frankenstein story set in Brooklyn, essentially. I don't want to say too much about this movie because it is worth it to experience for sure. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say we could probably talk about this at the same time. That's my number 4, so we could just like talk about that one together. So that
any more that you want to expand on the plot that you feel like is super necessary?
Yeah, we're going to talk about No Telling later, but No Telling is more of like taking a hypothetical of how do you explore like Victor and Elizabeth's relationship during like the early years of him being a crack pipe doctor. This is more taking more of the literal story, like the modern Prometheus, that sort of thing. It's a weirdly, really emotionally beautiful movie at times. Like, obviously I think that sometimes he does go a little bit too far with trying to make like our Frankenstein stand-in be like weirdly abusive at really weird times that don't really go with the previous scene. But they're like really interesting. Like, I think there's an interesting discussion like that goes on. Like there's a lot of philosophy that he's trying to expand on that I really, really like and how he explores it. So even though this is like his second foray into Frankenstein, I think he does a really good job, like differentiating it quite a bit.
I am, honestly fascinated by a filmmaker that in 1990, am I getting the no telling. Am I getting the year right? Was that 91 or was that
91 was no telling? Yeah.
Okay, so 91 and then Depraved is 2019. So over a period of almost 30 years, he is telling very similar stories that are not just like, I love Frankenstein, so I'm going to make a Frankenstein story. It clearly is like a moral discussion and a philosophical discussion and a discussion on war, especially in Depraved, that he is putting front and center, clearly something that he thinks about a lot and wants to share his feelings with all of you. And for a filmmaker to do a very radically different take 28 years apart on such what could be very similar ideas is so damn cool to me. And I also love that we're both putting the oldest one or not way above necessarily, but above Depraved, which for a lot of other like indie horror directors, Depraved probably would be their masterpiece for most indie horror directors, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, and I think this is one where I think he met the ambition he wanted to have. Like, this isn't one where I feel like, okay, he was incredibly limited, or like you mentioned, something happens and he loses half of his budget. You know, as the film goes on and we get towards the end, you know, you still feel like there is an ambition going on, even though you're starting to feel a little bit more of the beats from Frankenstein, the story. I really do have this as probably like, as far as Frankenstein retellings, they would easily probably make my top 5, which means the other one would as well. I think he's really good at the story. I think he's just really good at telling this type of story.
Wow. Yeah, I would agree. He is pretty great at, and see, that's why I don't like Beneath so much, because there are people that you would think would not be empathetic in this film that you feel like definitely feel their side of things for. So you know that he can do it, but the restrictions, I guess, of 5 or 6 characters, whatever it is, in this tiny little rowboat on a lake makes Beneath so much worse. Anyways, we already shit on Beneath enough.
Yeah, it's but you know, it's like the scene where the Frankenstein's monster is going into like the bar, and he meets that girl and everything. And I think that there's a weird sweetness in there, and because you're already familiar with the Frankenstein story, you kind of know where this is going to go, and it's not going to go well. But there, you know, I still like that he's able to pull like that knowledge. You know, it reminds me of like, you know, where Cameron was having an interview where he's talking about like why Avatar resonated with so many people. He's like, you know, or he actually was talking about Titanic too. He's like, part of storytelling is when your audience knows something, you're able to pull on that. He's like, you don't pretend they don't know what the story is. Right. You like lean into that. And I think that's kind of what this does. Yeah, all the beats, if you were to take a very vague beat by beat of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, it follows most of them. Yep. It has its own changes. It has its own uniqueness, you know, set in a different time period. But those beats are there, and then it kind of finds a way to comment a little bit more on them.
In a much more successful way than other filmmakers have tried in the past, for sure.
Yeah, you know, I have a Bernard Rose version of Frankenstein that's laid on my shelf for years, and I have not watched it. I'm curious. I mean, Candyman guy making a Frankenstein story sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
But
my number 4 is one that you already talked about. This is The Last Winter for me. So 2006 is The Last Winter, like Zach said. Very beautiful take on an Arctic circle tale. They are in the uppermost part of Alaska. A couple other things that you did not touch on. Probably should explain why there's CGI in this film. So you find out after, probably about midway through the second act, that there is something drawing some of these characters to a place, and a place that is very unsafe when you're in the Arctic Circle. And they are starting to be in dangerous situations. Somebody dies, and based on that, things start to turn into chaos. And when you see this character being drawn somewhere, thankfully he documented it, and that video is the first time that you truly see like a good view of the CGI that he's going to use in this film. And it, from what I read afterwards, it's pretty controversial because it's not great CGI. That being said, this is meant to be like mythical. and sort of ethereal. And so I kind of think it really works, especially at the end of the third act.
Yeah, I think because that was kind of where I was stuck at, because I would not call it like objectively good CGI,
right?
But I do think he sets it up well, because he does like the Aurora Borealis at one part, and it kind of leans into that to a degree. Yep. I think to me it comes down to more the question: did it make up for because as we talk about, he likes Jaws, so a lot of his films wait a long time to show anything. Whether that's because of limitation or because, you're going to make up for that. You're going to have like a payoff to that. And I don't know if it quite pays it off for me to that degree, because I'm like, I kind of get what he's going for, but it doesn't quite work as well as I would hope it would.
Right. The other thing I want to point out, I don't know how much of a spoiler this is, but midway through the second act, or closer to the end of the second act, there is I don't really want to say action set piece, but there is a sudden chaotic happenstance that really made me turn my favor on this film. I was kind of like impressed with some of the things that he was doing, but sort of about it. Yeah. And then that happened, and I loved how he filmed that. I love how he handled that. I love how it changed the entire dynamic of the film. It was necessary to advance the story, obviously, but they did not have to go as hard as they did in this movie. And it seems like that was a huge portion of the budget on this film, because the way they took care of that is great. And I really hope people go and see The Last Winter, because it's incredible. So I don't want to spoil what happens, but it is such an incredible scene that you are not expecting until you realize, and you're like too late to realize that that's about to happen.
Yeah, I was very impressed, because honestly, I didn't expect anything like that. Like, I figured it was going to be a little bit more, where he's done a lot of mumblecore. You kind of expect like low action, if any action, in movies like this. So for him to have like a big set piece like that's really cool.
I agree. Okay, so on to your number 3.
Number three for me is Blackouts. I actually had it between 4 and 3. I couldn't decide if I liked it or Depraved better. I ended up going Blackout, even though I think it's a lot more flawed. We talked about quite a bit of the flaws in this film. I think the acting is on the weaker end of his stuff. I just love the style of it. Like, I love the music. I love the rotoscoping. Stuff like that can win me over. Like, it's like, if I was going to pick a movie right now between Depraved and Blackout, I feel like I'm just more likely to put in Blackout.
I get that. It's also, it helps that Blackout is shorter than Depraved quite a bit.
Oh yeah, and that's something I don't think we talked about either. Is we talk about Beneath being 90 minutes, which thank God, but most of his movies are like right at 2 hours long.
Yeah.
If Beneath was 2 hours long, I wouldn't have finished it.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But I want to say, let's see, the shortest one beyond that is Wendigo is 91. I think the rest of them are over 100 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's just unimportant, but I figured out. Yeah, like Habit is, and then No Telling is 93. The rest are over 100. So,
not bad. Yeah. Favorite parts of Blackout? Anything else I didn't shout out that you wanted to?
I think we hit most of the ones. I do like the guy playing the Wolfman character. I don't know his name right off. Alex Hurt. To me, there is a lack of good werewolf movies, and I think that attracts me to something like Blackout as well. I love werewolf movies. There's just not many good ones, so I'm always willing to forgive a little bit more. But I really think he took a lot from probably one of my favorite ones, which is Late Phases, and talked a lot more about okay, we don't have to worry about the wolf stuff if we're talking about something else. Obviously, in this one, it's substance abuse, which is not uncommon for Wolfman type movies to talk about alcoholism or violent rages or things like that. But have you seen Late Phases before? Because I think he produced that, if I remember correctly.
I think so. I was just looking it up to see if I had.
Same guy who plays in Mr. and Stakeland plays the main character. He is a blind veteran, and he moves into a retirement home by force. And the first night, his German Shepherd is killed by a werewolf, and he realizes this is what it is, and he spends the next month like preparing how he's going to do this, even though he's blind, like how he's going to like kill these werewolves and stuff. And a lot of it's just him. He's a very angry person in general. He's very hard to get along with. So it's a lot about him reaching out and, people trying to reach out to him. And it's honestly pretty funny at parts because he's just so hateful to all the people he doesn't like in the nursing home. Yeah. So it's one of my favorite werewolf movies. Fessenden, I think, plays a small character in it as well, and he did produce it. But I think he took a lot from that. And I think that's one, if you haven't seen it, go see Late Phases. It's a fantastic movie. And it has that guy. I wish I could think of his name right off. I could look it up. But, I thought he was going to like really get big in like indie horror and stuff. The guy who played Mr. in Stakeland, Nick Demichi. Because he was doing that. He did Late Phases. He did Cold in July. I was like, okay, this guy was everywhere for like 2016. And then he just kind of fell off the radar. I was very disappointed.
That'll do it. My number 3 then is Wendigo. Wendigo truly feels like one of his more realized films to me. And the only thing I don't like is the acting is pretty rough in a few scenes in this. But there are so many...
too, right? Like it's got child actors.
It's got a child actor from Malcolm in the Middle.
That's right. That's who that is. That's right.
Wendigo starts with deer getting hit by a car, and there's a like altercation with these hunters that were chasing the deer, and that sets up this tense storyline that's literally gonna be the length of the whole 90 minutes essentially. And really everything that you covered I pretty much agree with. The only thing I want to point out is there is, I don't know, 5 times in this film that Larry Fessenden takes the way that he is either zooming into something or doing a montage and does it in this fashion that if you want a visual reference, what you're thinking of, go back to the scene in the very first Scream film where Drew Barrymore is up in the tree hanging and Wes Craven cut out every other frame, and so it feels jittery as it's running up to get a close-up on her face. Fessenden does the same thing, and it feels... First off, it feels very of the time. It definitely dates this film to 2001 a little bit because that happened a lot in like music videos and all that. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a really unique touch that sets this film up to be like it has an identity because of the editing that he uses in this movie. It is a really great touch to make you remember scenes, to feel invested, to feel like you're jumping forward in time, even if it's just a couple hours. It's just a really great filmmaking touch that most people would not have gone with. They would have just done a simple zoom in or just a really straightforward montage to show you something that they're doing, like the drawings that the kids drew of the deer. But it's special. Wendigo is a good movie. It's very fun. And if you know anything about the Wendigo story, it's not breaking new ground necessarily, but the tension and the storyline here definitely sets it apart, makes it interesting. Love that the dad is the guy from Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, that's right.
He definitely does very well in this. It's a handful of years before that movie, so he was definitely up and coming at the time. But Wendigo is very good. Again, for any other like indie horror director, for me, this probably would have been like the top of the list. And there's still 2 more here. Like I truly love most of these movies, and I don't know if I said at the beginning. I asked you. I had not seen any of these Fessenden films before the last couple of weeks. And so watching all of these at once has been such a unique treat to see how he grew over that time.
Yeah, and I think you talk about the editing, and I think that's something he's particularly really strong at. Like it's very, there's always a saying that if you notice editing, it's bad editing. But I think this is the exception, like to that idea. Like he's obviously expanding ideas using the editing. Like we talked about Depraved, and like the way he kind of interprets the mind of someone developing at a rapid pace through that edit is really cool. I just think that's a cool touch, and I think it added a lot to like that development of that character from basically a baby to an adult in a short amount of time.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we're on to number 2 then, sir.
Number 2, I'm going to go with Habit. So Habit is fantastic. It's obviously his most personal film. I don't even think it could really be denied. I mean, even the story he tells the girl on how he lost his tooth, which is a very iconic part of Fessenden as his overall look, is the true story on how he lost his tooth. So, I mean, obviously it means a lot to him. He's acting in it primarily, which is something we don't see a lot, which is disappointing because he's a really good actor.
He's actually very good, yeah.
Yeah, I worried a little bit the first time I watched this. I'm like, okay, this dude mostly does cameos. He's always good in those cameos, but can he carry a whole film? And absolutely he can. He carries this thing with the actress, Meredith Snader. I say that's her name. I probably mispronounced it, but she's great in this too. Like, they have really strong chemistry in this. They do an excellent job.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about this movie in a minute, but I love this movie.
Okay.
My number 2 then is the only other one that's left. No Telling, which I love that this has the subtitle of Or the Frankenstein Complex. No Telling is, like we alluded to earlier, his other Frankenstein story. Some interesting things about this is it's a little more of a secretive Frankenstein film, as he's doing things in this, I don't know what you call it. It's not a shed, but it's not much bigger than that.
She shed.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
He's doing things in secret, in so much as even like demanding that they put in an intercom so that his wife can't come bother him, and just call me and I'll stay out here and all this other stuff. And you find out, viewers know throughout most of this that he is doing this, but the town finds out that he's Frankensteining things near the end of the film. But yeah, this movie is genuinely great. Super well acted, especially for like the earliest film that we're talking about here on this list. Really great performances, like I said. Some of the effects in this are great, and then others are laughably bad. Even so much so as there is a horse literally made out of wood in this movie.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But there are scenes in this that I could understand a lot of people being unhappy with, because this is a Frankenstein movie about animals, essentially. We are a house that worships animals, and my wife sat down to watch this movie with me and fell asleep like 7 minutes into it. It wasn't because of the movie, it's because she was exhausted. And I was so glad that she did. She would have hated this movie with some of the ways that they show things.
Yeah, and and that's one of the things, we look at the original story. You basically have Victor Frankenstein getting body parts from criminals. And I'm not sitting there saying criminals aren't, worthy of things, but it does bring a comfort to people. Yes. It's like, hey, it's criminals, these are murderers and rapists. It's fine. But we didn't get to see the start of these experiments with this probably having animal testing and things like that. And I really like that he just kind of went there with it. He's like, all right, it's not interesting to talk about the criminal thing anymore. Let's just say he did it on animals. And you see like the monstrosities like towards the end of the film, and it's wild. It's just a wild movie.
This movie is just incredible. I mean, the way that it's shot is so unique for a 1991 film from this guy.
That dinner scene is the one I think about. The way he shot that dinner scene. It's fantastic.
So many of the animal scenes did not need to do as much as they did, and they're great because of it. So very happy with that. Obviously this is your number 1, it sounds like.
It is. And I adore this movie. Like, it was one of those ones where I think when I started deciding to do his binge, at one time I was just going to do them in order. And I did stick to that. I actually watched them in order. So that was fun. It just took longer than I expected. But yeah, I just fell right in love with this movie. I was like, this is so cool. Like, and I just, from there, I think I like watched Habit the next day and then went into Wendigo and everything else. So it really set the ball rolling for me.
Nice. And that, of course, means my number 1 that's left over is Habit. We already said some about it. The only other thing I'll say really is there's there's not many indie films that has been able to portray like crippling loneliness in the way that he grasps in this movie. His like the emotional output in this film is through the roof compared to most of his other movies. A lot of the other ones, like we already said, they kind of feel sometimes melodramatic or unearned, at least with how like they're attacking a situation, something small happens, they're like, oh my God, with the biggest reaction ever. This movie earns all of its reactions. It earns the emotions that you feel inside in response to this film. It earns the payoff. This is the film that earned him the King of New York status, and I truly feel like this is his masterpiece. I was just thinking about it after you were talking about watching all of them in order. I would be freaking thrilled to see any of these on the big screen other than Beneath. I would go to them in a heartbeat to watch these on a big screen. They would be incredible on the big screen.
And, you know, one of those things that, you know, you talk about the King of New York thing, and you think about directors who film New York. You know, you think of Scorsese, you think of Ferrera. And, you know, obviously it's still nice to see that someone like Fessenden, who has a lower budget, still finds his own identity of what New York is to him. Like, he's not just sitting there riffing on those two guys, even though I wouldn't blame him. They represent what New York is to a lot of people in film. And he still finds like a unique way for it to look. And it shows up so well in Habit. Like it, you know, it puts a dreaminess towards New York.
Yeah. Really interesting to put out there, especially because it was just released on disc. The tie-in, not sure how many people have made this distinction, is probably already out there. This isn't unique or anything, but this came out the same year as Abel Ferrara's The Addiction, another New York vampire movie. And when you're discussing things about like style, they are both very unique on that front. Obviously, The Addiction is oozing with style, so I'm not going to put that down in any way. But I truly loved The Addiction, and then I saw this, and I think this is a much better movie than The Addiction now, I think.
And I would agree with that. I haven't seen The Addiction in a long time, so I could change my mind if I watched it tomorrow. But there's just such a sweetness to Habit that it's really odd. Like, it makes it feel so unique. There's no cynicism in it. Like, and there should be, because you talk about the loneliness part. Right. But it never feels cynical.
Right. And then go ahead.
No, I just you're good. You're good.
The difference there, I don't think he was trying to shoot this as like the grimy New York. This is a very different feeling, almost like tender film. And I could talk about this movie for the next hour. I truly feel like Habit is his masterpiece at this point. And God, the fact that he has been making these movies since at least 1991, I still want to know what those other three features are, but how are we getting these from him? 32 years spanning across this for 7 films. That's it. And he's not like this major name. Like, obviously a lot of people have heard of Larry Fessenden. How many people have you ever heard say Larry Fessenden is my favorite indie director? Or even how many people have you heard say I love Larry Fessenden as a director? Like, that's not a common sentiment. He is fucking incredible.
Yeah, I've put him in, like, I have a list where I keep my favorite directors and stuff on Letterboxd. He's there. Like, really is. To me, it's like, would I be excited if they came out with another film? Like, if I knew it, I'd be there in a heartbeat to watch anything he ranks. Because at least I know it'll be interesting. As much as we should on Beneath, there's interesting things in it. It just didn't work out. But I mean, for the most part, yeah, there's something interesting and unique there. And, especially when you talk about, like, people talk about, like, Ty West, who I'm very happy with the success he's gotten in the last few years. But that's all due to Fessenden. Like, he worked for Glass Eye Pix. West uses him in a lot of his films, which we talked about on a previous episode, I believe. I'm pretty sure he came up a few times. So
yes, he did.
I mean, we see all the influence he has, and it's odd for him to be in this position where a lot of people don't watch his actual directorial movies, even though he's been such a big part of indie horror.
I would agree. Yeah, it's definitely something that is lacking for most people. I will say, since we do primarily cover physical media, some great releases of his stuff out there. The Larry Fessenden collection from Scream Factory, which I believe is still in print, that covers Wendigo, Habit, Last Winter, and No Telling. And each of those discs has commentaries. Most of them have short films. Most of them have featurettes. Most of them have like some sort of extra besides that. They also have like a Glass Eye Pix sizzle reel on some of them. As far as the short films, I said I was going to bring those up. On the, I think it was the Wendigo disc, there's a short from 2008 called Santa Claus, which is essentially like a stop motion set up in somebody's probably like attic with a bunch of toys set to some fun music, like Star Wars toys attacking other things in the attic sort of thing. It's not bad necessarily. It's not incredible, but it's unique. And then on the Last Winter disc, you get the 3 Stakeland short films. You have Origins, Jebediah, and Mr. And Origins and Mr. are both pretty good. Jebediah was my least favorite. It's just sort of like a commercial sort of thing of like tattooing in America, which is odd. Origins had this really great ending for a short, which you don't normally get. And then Mr. is essentially a pure Stakeland short. Like the character from Stakeland is in the short. And it all leads up to this one moment where he's reflecting to another character in front of him, and there's a reveal of just these great practical effects that they didn't need there for a 3.5 minute short, but it ended up pretty great. There's a couple other things I've watched, but those are really the only ones truly worth mentioning. Depraved also has a disc out from Scream Factory, another really good disc, got a commentary and all that. Beneath, if you really want to get it, also had a Scream Factory release. There's outtakes on there. There is a very long making of. I think it was longer than the film itself. What I watched was very good. I didn't watch the entire thing because I could not take it. But it really starts off with them in somebody's studio building this fish and just really showing like we care practically how this works, that it moves like a real fish. They showed all the teeth and all the things that they put genuine time into making it look great. Pretty decent making of. And if you love the movie, watch the whole thing. It is worth it. And then, like I said, Blackout is out from Dark Sky, and I think that covers everything. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I did want to note that it does look like the Larry Fessenden collection is out of print.
God damn it.
Yeah, he'd still advertises on his site, but I can't even find the Scream Factory listing for it anymore. Like, I can't even find it from them. So, but yeah, about $100 somebody wants it. But yeah, I'm looking at his site. You know, he sells Wendigo toys. Just wild. This site, like, honestly, he has an extensive site. Like, I was going on there looking at the Larry Fessenden collection on there. You want to talk about like putting detail of what this release is? It's like extensive. So a lot of stuff here. He's got a comic book too. Good God. Yeah. So go check out Glass Eye Pix. You want to see all the random stuff he's got, because it's a bunch.
Amazing. I might need to buy some Wendigo toys.
Yeah, and I guess I'm going to go do something I should have done years ago and go paying for on eBay to get that collection.
I mean, it's the hard part is like they're worth a good release. So I theoretically could see somebody putting them out, but I also don't see them selling well. So why would somebody take the time to release them unless they could do UHD, which, I mean, you definitely probably would not want to do UHD on Last Winter. Maybe even a couple of the others, but yeah, that set, it's already got great releases, great extras. So yeah, I don't see, unless it's over in the UK, I don't see it getting another release probably.
Just telling myself it's got like 5 movies on it, and that makes me feel better. But this was fun, man. I appreciate you letting me delve into Fessenden here.
I appreciate the light and the fire under my ass. Without it, I would not. I mean, first of all, I would not have been able to find myself watching 7 films in the last 2 weeks while doing the awards and recovering from the awards. But instead, I truly feel like I found a new favorite director. He is up there for me for sure. Like, the choices that he's made are great. Incredible filmography. As long as you skip one movie, I think everything else is a win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's a lot of history there, and I think that's so disappointing. Like you said, it wouldn't sell well. When I'm like, there's history here,
right?
Something worthwhile here.
But again, like, the first film, or not the first, the oldest film that we talked about tonight was released 34 years ago. And this man is still active, still acting, still producing, still doing everything he can to be in there. He played a big part in Jacob's Wife, which was a pretty big hit a couple years ago on the indie scene. God,
I Sell the Dead was one that he was with what's his name? Played Charlie in Lost. Dominic Monaghan.
Yep.
Everyone else is like, you mean the guy Mary from Lord of the Rings, but it is Lost first.
I think that you made a great choice. I know that we've done Ty West and Larry Fessenden. Are those the only 2 directors we've done?
I think so. We did a Stephen King. We've done Horror Stills.
That's right. We've done a lot. You've been on here many, many times now.
Yeah, I think Horror Stills was like the first one we ever did, if I remember correctly. And I'd love to go back and see what I even had then.
Right.
Probably like, I sold that. That's got a 4K. I sold that.
And then we were just talking the other day. We could do the Stephen King list again tonight, and it would be a completely different list.
Oh yeah. I've been like doing the ranking of I don't even think I had Carrie in my top 10, and that'd be like my number 2 now. Where I rewatched, it's like, oh man, what was I doing? Carrie is fantastic.
Yeah, not much else to say other than this was an incredible choice from you. So thanks for bringing up Larry. Now I'm like, man, I hope I get to meet him at a convention or something someday, just to show him some appreciation. I bet he does stuff out by you all the time.
Oh yeah, we have all these. I bet I could look. Let's see if he's doing a meet and greet anywhere. Let's see. I don't know. He did a Reddit AMA not long ago, apparently.
Interesting.
I guess to do for Blackout, which is kind of funny. But yeah, nothing right now, but I'm sure he does. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we get so much stuff out here in like Charlotte and stuff. Asheville.
Right. Other than that, anything coming up for They Live by Film or any other shows you want to mention?
Well, we got the Nosferatu one will be our next They Live by Film.
Oh, that's right.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure we'll have some interviews. I don't do the interviews, so I can't tell you the order of those. Chris does them, and then Adam figures out the order. So if I started naming people, I wouldn't even know who was who.
I don't know if I should spoil anything, but supposedly Chris got Frank Jang recently, and he's even given up some juice in that interview. So I can't wait to hear that.
Yes, that one might be the one coming Friday, I think. Or we had to do a switch. I remember them talking about it in chat. I make no decisions of when things are scheduled. I just show up and record. That is my job. So that should be coming up, and of course, we also have Punk Vacation and Radiance. I believe Adam he has taken a month off or he will be taking a month off. So I think he's doing January and February together. I think is how he's going to be doing his release discussion. But yeah, we got all that going for us. So come check us out.
Speaking of Chris, I probably should have said this earlier because it's really exciting and most people have probably checked out because of all the Larry Fessenden fans. All 3 of us are here left, but probably should share that the Mondo Macabro podcast today, Chris sat down with the one and only Tom Mess, who has been on so many incredible releases, done incredible research on Asian titles and just Asian film in general. And his conversation with Chris is incredible. Getting the nuance behind how Tom speaks 5 different languages and his research process and everything that he needs to. I don't know. It's kind of wild that like these little podcasts like Radiance and Mono Macabro and some of these we're getting like Kim Newman to sit down with the Adam and Chris with Tom S and Sam Deegan on some of these episodes. And it's just so cool that these people are willing to share some of their time to talk about something that they love.
I want to get the name of the podcast right. So I was on one that I should be on an episode coming up very soon. I just listened to his first episode. Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys.
Hunter Robinson.
Yes, so I should be coming up on an episode very soon. We recorded that a while ago, so I'm curious. I don't usually re-listen to myself, but I'm actually curious what I said. So see how it went.
I think I recorded with Hunter in like November. I barely remember it. I'd love to see how that stands up. But he's been doing good work. Just launched under the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network. People go subscribe if you're into Westerns at all. It's not going to be a dry podcast. There's a lot of really great information. It's a good time. Go check it out.
Yeah, and one thing I've talked to him about too, it's not going to be just a focus on, all the John Wayne and all the Clint Eastwood.
Right.
I mean, me and him talk about Day of the Outlaw, which is one of my favorites. I think he really wants to focus in on those 40s and 50s that kind of flew a little bit under the radar. So absolutely worth checking out.
And then I'm the idiot that went on there and said, "Can I talk about a spaghetti Western?"
You should.
I did. Yeah. We covered a Pistol for Ringo. See,
I haven't even seen that one. So I'd be interested to listen to it. Try to convince me to watch it. I think I've only seen... how many of those are there? I feel like there's
of the Ringo films altogether.
Yeah.
I think there's 4 or 5 at least, something like that. The Arrow set is 2 films, and then I think there's a few others.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. So I think that's everything. I probably forgot something. This is why you should have Chris on here to like come in the last few minutes and tell us what's going on. Because
just record a list.
Yeah, like just tell me what we're doing.
Other than that, I'll say the Patreon promo for Disconnected is still live. If you sign up for a year at the $12 tier or above, you get access to a list of items. I've had people start picking those over the last like 5 days, and man, there's some crazy things people are picking. So make sure that you are getting on that if you want it. We had one individual that got... I think it was 13 of the deluxe releases from Deaf Crocodile in one go. So congrats, Tony, on that one. So check out the link in the description below for the Patreon. Next week's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to it already. And I think that's all we've got. So until next time, go watch some movies, especially if they've got Larry Fessenden. Have a good night. We'll see you next Thursday.
Good night, guys.
Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share with someone else that may appreciate this.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryant Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week, and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description